Good evening, everyone. This is a call to order for the Bridgeport Board of Education regular board meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. And right about now, it is 6:32. We are at the Bridgeport Regional Aquaculture Science and Technology Center. The first thing is we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Secretary is not in the room with us, but I'll do the roll call. Ms. Allen? Yes. Ms. Baptiste Perez? Present. Mr. Benahan is not in the room. Mrs. Casimir? She's online. Ms. Casimir? Okay. Mr. Gellin?
Present.
Ms. Perez?
Present.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Present.
Mr. Traber? Bobby Brown, present. At this moment, we'll open up the floor for student representatives. We have one student representative in person, and I believe that's one student representative online. So please just state your name. There should be a mic up. Sam's grabbing you a mic. And just say your name, the school that you attend, and you can feel free to start your report.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Levy David and Bridgeport Board of Education members. My name is Monique Harvey. I'm a senior at the Aerospace Hydrospace Magnet High School on the Fairchild Wheeler campus. This will be my second report for this school year. Today, students went to Central High School to hear the Marine Band. The two teachers who chaperoned were Marine veterans. One had been in the same Marine Corps band more than 15 years ago and runs our music club. Wednesday, October 11th is PSAT and SAC testing day. All students reported to their testing rooms at the end of the school day today. 9th through 11th grade students left their laptops in their testing room to charge overnight. 12th grade students will take the SAT with paper and pencil. On Friday, October 13th, we will celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Students are preparing presentations and activities to share with the campus.
Thank you so much for your report. Our next student, we have another one. I see Evan Arroyo.
Hello, my name is Evan Arroyo. I'm the main representative for Bridgeport Military Academy. BMA had a successful reform battalion. We have representatives from Bridgeport Fire, the National Guard, and Bridgeport Police Explorers at the event. All cadets had a fun time. BMA and JROTC cadets participated in the September 11th Remembrance event in New York City called the Tunnel 2 Towers on September 24th. The BMA Color Guard has made numerous appearances at various events, including the Columbus Day Parade this past Sunday. Today, 200 cadets attended performance of the Marine Corps Band at Central High School. Lastly, BMA's PTSO meeting will take place on October 19th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see Jose.
Good afternoon. My name is Josie Narcisse.
Josie, I apologize.
No, you're totally fine. My name is Josie Narcisse. I am with Fairchild. I'm with the Infotech campus, and we have various activities planned for this month. We are hosting a Hispanic Heritage Month that is held by students. Hispanic professionals will be coming to the school to have a panel discussion. On October 14th, we will have a middle school cross country race, and students are doing their PSAT/SAT testing tomorrow. Counselors are meeting with seniors for college advising, and there is a Yukon field trip happening next week. And all after school clubs, we have over 30 clubs, and all after school clubs have started. And that would be all for us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next student representative is Sael. If I'm saying your name wrong, please correct me.
Hi, my name is Sael Amazon. That's how it's like Sael. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, I'll bring in my report. Good evening, Board of Education members, and thank you for the time to share. My name is Sael Amazon. This is my second time reporting here and first time reporting online. And I am here online to represent aquaculture as a Central High School student. Since my last update, aqua students have continued their work with Ash Creek Conservation Association just today. Aqua students were planting American beach grass as part of the sand split restoration project. This Friday, Aqua students competed against other Yukon ECE students at the annual cardboard boat race hosted at Yukon's Avery Point campus. While we collect athletic trophies at Aqua, did one team did add to our trophy case by in finishing in second place in their heat. Congratulations, Miss Gladdick and her students. We have a recruitment open house upcoming next week on Thursday, October 19th from 5 to 7 p.m. here at Aquaculture. We look forward to sharing with the positive aspects of our programs with the prospective families. We appreciate the ongoing support from both the superintendent and the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rashama? Please correct me if I said your name wrong.
I'm sorry, are you talking to me, Rahama?
Yes. I apologize for saying your name wrong.
Oh, it's all right. So I'm the representative for Central. So currently we're raising money for the Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, which takes place on Sunday, October 15th at Sherwood Island. It was a joint effort between our school's National Honor Society and the School of Governance. Approximately 50 students and 6 teachers will participate in the 5K walk. And currently we have raised just under $2,000, both from student donations along with money that students have raised, along with money made from clothing as well. And NHS has our first Red Cross blood drive of the year happening on October 27th. We have approximately a blood drive every 2 to 3 months. So our first one will be happening next Friday. We are also still celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month by having students speak daily on different countries, so countries of different Spanish-speaking heritage. And then tomorrow we have the PSATs and SATs. Juniors will be taking the PSATs digitally, I believe, while seniors will be taking paper SAT. And lastly, we are having a Halloween homecoming dance in the courtyard of our school at the end of this month. And those are all of the updates for this month.
Thank you so much for your report. And we have 2 student representatives that have joined us in person. If you could just say your name, the school you attend, and then you can share your report. Yep.
Hey, hello, my name is Jeremy Alvarado. I am a junior representing biotech school from Fairchild Wheeler. And thank you for the opportunity of letting me able to represent my school. So first of all, our students are prepared for the SAT and PSAT exams tomorrow. AP class contracts are due this Friday the 13th. And we also have an open house for our school October 18th as well. Our school has come up with many ways to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Student Council had a fundraiser where we painted the colors of Latin American flags on our faces using face paint, which was a great way for Hispanic students to show their pride as well. And also we are planning another celebration this Friday, having a panel of Hispanic speakers come talk to us, and different student activities so we can end Hispanic Heritage Month on a good note. That's all I have to say regarding my school. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing.
My name is Zivensky Pinchon. and I am a student representative for Harding High School. For this month, October is a busy month at Harding High School. Last week, nearly 100 students from Harding various law classes and the school debate team attend the great debate between Howard and Yale University that was held in the healthcare amphitheater. They used the experience to generate discussions in their classes and to apply direct to their own academic debating skills. We were even privileged enough to take a group picture with the school board chairperson, Mr. Bobby Brown. Harding also continues its Hispanic Heritage Month celebration with a presentation from author Yanni Espanol about her book, Mind Your Money Organization by our business department and a school-wide performance of Rhythm of Americans Spotlight Caribbean Music that was organized by bilingual departments. Students were able to actively participate in the presentation with famed academic students leading student dancing. Our own music teacher, Mr. Mudundi, went and played with the band on an original piece of music. So our school HOSA club has raised over 500 so far for breast cancer research. Their goal is to reach 1,000 by the end of this month. You can also join their efforts by taking part of the October 15 walk against breast cancer at Sherwood Island in Westfield on Westport. Tomorrow, all students will take part in school-wide SAT, PSAT testing, followed by a student versus staff soccer game once testing has been completed. Finally, the Student Council is prepared for a Harding new annual event, the Fall Festival, that will be held by the end of this month.
Thank you so much for your report. Thank you to the students that joined us online as well. We look forward to hearing all the great things that you are accomplishing in your school. So thank you so much. The next item is public comment. I will read off the names for public comment. The timer goes off. I ask that you wrap up your last statement. The first person is Ms. Gladys Walker Jones.
Grace and peace.
Yep, just press it till the red light comes on.
Grace and peace here and in the Middle East. Please move to approve the renewal of membership with the Council of the Great City Schools, the nation's voice for urban education, at a negotiated rate comparable, hopefully, to the rate offered by CABE, again, if applicable. Unlike CABE, the Council of the Great City Schools brings together 76 of our nation's largest urban public school systems in a coalition dedicated to the improvement of education for our specific population, with emphasis on our males and females of color, and of course, inclusive of our English language learners. Please also move to take fuller advantage of the membership, which provides members with timely access to important information and resources such as the Council of Great City Schools digital urban educator newsletter, where Bridgeport Public Schools should be highlighted in between Boston and Charlotte. Please see the September 2023 edition. Speaking of Boston, did you know that Boston Public Schools is offering advanced placement African American studies at 10 of their in Charlotte? North Carolina's Charlotte Mecklenburg School is partnering with the Aviation Institute of Maintenance to offer 4 dual enrollment classes designed to give their scholars a direct career path in the aviation industry. Juniors and seniors will be allowed to complete up to 4 courses at no cost, while earning credit toward a high school diploma and accelerating their Federal Aviation Administration certification training time by 5 months. Students may also opt for daytime or evening courses, and employment opportunities will be available upon successful completion of the program. Learn how their successes can be replicated here in Bridgeport Public Schools. Lastly, please advance the change of start time for our high school scholars. The research is clear. Thank you. Be well.
Thank you so much for sharing. The next speaker is Ms. Leslie Caraballo.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Caraballo, and I stand before you tonight to shine light on a situation that occurred Friday morning, October 6, 2023, at Columbus School in the city of Bridgeport. Based off a Facebook post that went viral by Gio, also known as G-Man's cousin, on Sunday seeking for answers and help from the community. Mr. Willie Medina brought this up to my attention, and after hours of trying to locate all parties involved, as our hearts were broken based off what we heard, once we were able to get in contact with all parties, thanks to a Bridgeport resident, Tammy, our hurts quickly turned into outrage. Outrage because Columbus School failed Gio, a 9-year-old boy who is on the spectrum for autism, who was accidentally knocked out due to a high five by a friend to another boy who psyched him, and unfortunately ended up smacking Gio, who fell about 7 steps backwards, where Gio was in and out of unconsciousness, where it was later determined he suffered a neck injury. If Gio was in and out of unconsciousness and was found at the bottom of the steps, why was he moved to another set of stairs, other than the one he initially fell from? The nurse from that school was outraged as well, and even stated she will write a report and quote, "The school does nothing and sweep things underneath the rug." Why were cops interrogating both boys with disabilities in an unprofessional, unethical way that they did without the parents present? Why would the principal's response be, "Kids will be kids"? Why was Gio not immediately transported to the hospital via EMS? And why was Gio's mother able to get on a city bus from her job at Trumbull to get to the hospital ER before Gio got there? Why is it that the community of people who have a passion, love for the youth, such as myself, Willie, Tammy, and others, had to be the ones telling them we are sorry, providing them with around-the-clock support, and bringing both parents of the boys who are friends to get the answers to the questions that the school horribly failed at answering them?
Ms. Caraballo, can I ask you to please summarize your last point?
Yep. The school may have several versions as they can't keep up with the same story. However, the parents and boys affected have the same. These boys are traumatized, and the single mother should be provided with resources on next steps that can take, such as transferring schools or accommodating homeschooling during this impending investigation, as it would be a conflict of interest. So I'm just going to conclude with, we are the voice of the youth, and we will not be shut, as this cannot happen to any child, yours, mine, whoever. The reality of this is that another child may not be as fortunate as Gio, and we need to act right away to prevent this or anything else from happening to any child, versus we will cross that bridge when we get there. Well, we already crossed that bridge, and it will not be crossed again.
Thank you so much. The next speaker is Dion Barber. I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
Nah, you got it right. Thank you. My name is Dion Truth Anthony Barber. Some of you may have seen my Facebook post about my cousin Giovanni. I'm just here really because I feel it's unacceptable. My family feels it's unacceptable. It took over an hour for him to get from the school to the hospital after this incident happened, from 8:45 to 10:05 in the morning. My whole family beat the ambulances there. To piggyback off of what Leslie said, I don't understand how it took so long. I don't understand why the school didn't take proper precautions, or whatever the case may be. They're giving us all these stories and they're telling us all this. They're telling us different things, and it's very unacceptable. I was made aware that the superintendent and Board of Education members didn't know anything about this incident until it was brought to their attention by members of the community. And I just got to say, I'm hurt. We're all hurt. Gio's hurt. Gio doesn't want to go back to school. And there's no reason for a 9-year-old to feel that way. I feel if it was any of your children, you would want some type of justice. You would want something to be done or said, and you would want somebody to advocate for your child as well as I want them to advocate for my cousin. So with all that being said, I did pass around my phone. I don't know where it's at, but there's a photo of Gio in a neck brace. And long story short, my cousin could have died, and waiting that long was completely unacceptable. And I feel somebody needs to be held responsible for what happened to my cousin.
Thank you so much for sharing. We'll now move into approval of meeting minutes. There is a meeting minutes for approval for regular meeting September 26, 2023. Is there a motion to?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Benningham.
Second.
Second by Ms. Perez. Are there any edits that need to be mentioned? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Abstain. Mr. Sokolovic and Ms. Baptiste Perez abstains. All right, the next item is the chairman's report. I would like to give part of my chairman report to our students that are performing today. You guys can have the floor.
So this is the Bridgeport Public Schools fame fair. We're going to perform Somewhere Over the Rainbow for you.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and thank you for Dr. Henry for providing this presentation to the board and also to the students. The students have SATs getting ready for tomorrow, so they're going to be leaving out as well as our student reps. So if you see them leaving, that's why they're leaving out. Can we just give them another hand? I think that was really, really awesome. Also, to my reports, on top of that, I would like to say that in my communications with Dr. Levy David, some of the things we talked about is giving our students an opportunity to participate, not just in board reports, but also performances like this, little things like doing the Pledge of Allegiance, having them more involved in our everyday activities that we do once we meet as a board. So it was really, really awesome to see them here this evening. And I don't really have anything else to report. We did not meet as a board for the training that should have taken place last Saturday. That will be rescheduled for board members, and I'll make sure to put it in our emails to discuss further on it. Yes, Mr. Sokolovic.
Yeah, just quick comment. Thank you, Dr. Levy David, for bringing this back. This is something I've missed in the past 2 years, because we went to quarterly recognitions, and this part was not really put before the board again, and I would appreciate this at least every board meeting one, because it reminds us of why we are here and what we're doing, why we are doing what we're doing. Thank you.
All right, and that concludes my report. Other than that, we'll go right into committee reports and referrals. The first committee is Education, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, chaired by Mr. Sokolovic. Before you do start, just want to remind the public that these committee meetings are also scheduled on our Board of Education website, so any and everyone could participate by attending. The chairs of each committee will have the opportunity to whether allow public comment or not to their committees, but you're more than welcome to attend, and they're also streamed online. Go ahead, Mr. Sokolovic.
Thank you, Madam. BEI will be meeting on October 16th at 6 p.m. At Central Library, and also via Teams for those who would like to watch online.
Are there any referrals to this committee? Just check online. Are there any referrals? Are there any referrals? All right, hearing none. The next committee is Finance, chaired by Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, Finance did meet in the interim, but you had a report brought by Ms. Siegel at the last meeting, I believe, and it was approved. So there's nothing else to report from there, except Finance will meet on October 25th at 6:30 p.m. The date was changed in order to give staff time to collect some data I requested.
Are there any referrals to this committee? Any referrals? Any referrals? Hearing none. The next committee is Governance, also chaired by Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, the Governance Committee will meet on October 18th at 6 p.m. Central Library, and also via Teams.
Are there any referrals to this committee? Are there any referrals? Are there any referrals? Hearing none. The next one is Health Safety Facilities Committee, chaired by Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Health Safety and Facilities Committee. Can we fix that on our agenda so it's Health Safety and Facilities Committee, not Health Safety Committee? Today's the second Tuesday in October, so that's our normally scheduled meeting, but we're having our regular meeting due to the holiday. An alternative date hasn't been scheduled, but if anything in the interim, we will definitely meet in November, the second Tuesday of the month.
Are there any referrals to this committee? Any referrals? Any referrals? Okay. The next committee is Personnel and Contracts, chaired by me. There hasn't been a meeting in the interim. We will meet on October 31st at 6 p.m. at Central High School. Right now we have about one item that is brought before me, and we'll have that on the agenda for review. Are there any referrals for Personnel and Contracts? Any referrals? Any referrals? Okay, hearing none. The next committee is Students and Families, chaired by Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. My next meeting will be October 19th at 6 p.m. in Central High School. But I just want to know, Dr. Lovett Davis, the way I'm going to have staff to complete, to do my committee meeting, because we were short staffed. I don't know yet who's gonna be the staff, give me the report. As the last email we talked to see, we canceled, so change it for this month. So want to know I'm gonna have staff to go, do my report.
I will make sure that we have someone at your committee.
Okay, because I already sent the agenda to Ms. Rogers, so she really know what I got. All right, so far it's gonna be October 19th, 6 p.m. in Central High School. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the last committee is Teaching and Learning, also chaired by Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Teaching and Learning has not met yet for this month. I'm still getting the agenda together. And there is one item I would like to put on the agenda regarding the attendance record for our schools that I do have some questions for Dr. Levy David, whether that information would be available as to the attendance in each building, as well as is there any particular building, location, or age groups where they're struggling with arriving on time. That also kind of segues into a later start time, and whether that's something that would be possible for the third Tuesday of this month, so I could plan and make sure our staff has an adequate amount of time to prepare. But that's okay. If there's more time needed, I think I'd rather have all the information there than have a meeting without all the information there. So is that something that's possible to come up with and we'll have the data available? Thank you.
Are there any referrals to this committee? Are there any referrals? Are there any referrals? All right. Those are all of the reports for committees. The next item is the superintendent's report. Dr. Levy David, you have the floor.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for the beautiful singing presentation from a combination of our students at Fame Academy. They composed that piece in order to celebrate Superintendent's Appreciation Month for the month of October. So it was really exciting to see them do that. I am going to move to the next slide and talk a little bit about some of the multiple events that we have during the month of October, because it's a busy month. First piece, of course, is Principal Appreciation. We also celebrate, and today actually, we had an official proclamation issued by the mayor that October the 10th is Principal Appreciation Day. I was informed by principals that it was the first time that we've done that in the city of Bridgeport, and I hope that we'll be able to do that again. I don't know if I haven't been in Bridgeport long enough to know if that is accurate or not, but I was really excited to see them excited about being appreciated and celebrated. We also celebrate Italian Heritage Month. I had the pleasure of being able to see the parade from my front porch, which was really awesome. Never been able to see a parade from my front porch before. So that's one of the benefits of living in a smaller town. We also celebrated last week School Custodian Appreciation Week. So thank you to all of you who made your school custodians feel special and appreciated for all of the work that they do. As you know, without custodians, we could not open and conduct school every day. So we really and truly value all of the work that they do for us each and every single day. October is also National Bullying Prevention Month. We've been celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month in a variety of ways and in a variety of different campuses. And those celebrations will continue to run through October the 15th when the month concludes. And also, you've noticed probably a lot of pictures with people wearing pink because October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So a lot of things happening during the month of October in our schools, and our students and leaders have been so incredible with leading through each of those. Earlier, you saw the Fame Academy perform for us. I just want to remind everyone that we do have this incredible academy that is now emerging in our schools. Our students are able to enjoy a variety of activities, including choir, theater and acting, stagecraft, costume design and sewing, visual arts, modern band, drumline, sound and light tech. And enrollment is still open for high school students. The Fame Academy occurs at Harding High School. So if you're interested in participating in Fame Academy, please speak to your school counselor to make sure I gave them a plug. This past October 5th, last Thursday, I met with school administrators and principals, and we shared a lot of communication, a lot of conversation. It was, I would say, a really transformative meeting between the leaders and myself, and we talked about what our priorities will be for the next 24 months. There are a lot of issues that we need to address as we transition the district and as we move to transform our schools. But we want to make sure that we're addressing those pieces that will have the greatest sustainable impact and that we'll be able to build upon over the next 5 to 6 years. And we all agreed, because we had a conversation about it, that the first is building teacher capacity, ensuring that our teachers receive the coaching that they need, that they feel supported, that our new teachers have mentors, that they have observations that support their non-evaluative observations that support their growth, and that we're able to help them become expert teachers and that we're able to retain them in our district. The next was ensuring that we're providing culturally responsive teaching in all of our classrooms. As you know, we have over 47 languages spoken in Bridgeport Public Schools. We have many different ethnicities and cultures represented in our district. And we want to make sure that our teachers, even if they do not reflect the student population in their classrooms, are equipped to understand and to be able to respond to all of the different differences and all of the different diversity that we have in our classrooms. And that's critical. That is a skill that needs to be taught. And it emphasizes how we use strategies to ensure that we're reinforcing, honoring, celebrating, and respecting those differences rather than expecting people to change their beliefs or their own backgrounds. As we know, that's a much more difficult task to accomplish. And so we really want to support our teachers in understanding different cultures, understanding what the needs are, understanding what that looks like in a classroom, and how to plan and deliver instruction that is engaging, that is innovative, that is 21st century, that actually meets the needs of our students, and that actually responds to the way that they require communication today. And finally, we talked a lot about Tier 1 instruction while closing the gaps. Tier 1 instruction is essential to student growth, and we also have to ensure that students who have not mastered concepts or are not performing on grade level are not left behind. And that requires that we not only deliver Tier 1 instruction, but that we also provide intervention and we provide all of the support needed for students to be able to capture any learning loss that they have suffered, whether it's via COVID or it's because of other reasons. We want to make sure that our students are able to be competitive, that they're able to continue to grow, and that they're able to also take a seat in our magnet programs, and that we can increase our population of Bridgeport students within our magnet programs. And so we talked about this. We actually had table talk with our principals, and we all agreed that these were going to be the 3 priorities that we would address in concert. And so it was very rewarding to be able to engage them in the decision-making process and also engage them in a manner that we could actually have frank, trusting, open conversations about these topics during the meeting. The other piece that we talked about was the need for us to begin outlining campus leader coaching models and support models so that we can continue to grow leaders from within our ranks, leaders from within our district who are actually understand our students, are hopefully graduates of Bridgeport Public Schools and want to continue to live and thrive in Bridgeport Public Schools. And we celebrated our principals by having ice cream sandwiches provided by Main Street Creamery. So that was a sweet way to end a very exciting meeting. We took a group photo, which we hope will be the first of many group photos to come in the future for all of our principals and the superintendent. So it was an exciting day overall. So I wanted to just share with you a little bit of what occurred earlier today. Earlier today, I made a special request. I requested that a special proclamation be issued for our principals in the district for October 10th. And that request was granted. And we were able to hear from alumni who spoke about the impact that principals had on their education right here in Bridgeport in our schools. And it was really rewarding to see those principals who were still present while having students speaking about the amazing, incredible impact that they had on their lives, and how even as they're adults, they continue to thrive and remember those stories and those experiences and those leaders and how they supported their growth. We took another group picture, as you can see up on the screen, and we took a picture with the special proclamation that Mayor Ganem was gracious enough to provide us with. And although this is a symbolic gesture, it's also an important gesture. We have to be able to say thank you. As I told the principals earlier today, Bridgeport is not an easy gig. It is a very challenging place to work. I have been in many districts in 5 different states, and I can tell you that urban settings are some of the most underserved settings in our country. And for principals who choose to be here year after year, it's not because of the pay. There are lots of ways to make money without working as hard as our principals have to work every day. So the fact that they're willing to dedicate their livelihoods, their careers, engage and invest in our students, in their families, in this community speaks volumes. And I wanted to honor that sacrifice, that effort. Being a school leader means spending a lot of time away from your family. It means spending time away from your own children in the service of other children. It means spending time away from your spouse. It means working on your birthday. It means a lot of things that many other professions perhaps do not have to sacrifice, but school leaders and teachers do. And oftentimes they make those sacrifices without ever receiving a thank you. It's very easy to critique. It's very easy to overlook all of the work that it takes to lead a campus successfully and to ensure that every student is receiving the education that they not only need but deserve by law. And so I'm really proud and excited to be able to work with such an amazing group of leaders here in Bridgeport. And I just want to thank them for the work, the remarkable efforts that they make each and every day in our district. And I hope that this tradition will continue, whether I'm in this seat or someone else is in this seat. Also had a successful, wonderful meeting with our BCAS union, that is our Bridgeport Council of Administrators and Supervisors. And we talked about the issues that are very important to our principals at this time. And among them is positive climate, ensuring that they're able to maintain that positive working climate where employees are able to feel safe in their work environment. They're able to feel supported by the superintendent's office, by the Board of Education, and by all other members of this city, ensuring that there's clear communication with, throughout, and engaging principals in critical conversations, ensuring that they're able to have the benefit of the doubt when things happen and that they're not immediately condemned and critiqued in public. That's really important to our leaders because the work that they do, unlike previous years when I became a principal, everything happens quickly. It's on social media immediately. And whether it's accurate, true, or untrue, people believe it to be so because it's published. And so the risk of reputation that school leaders take is greater than any other profession in the entire world. Everything that you do as a school leader is under scrutiny. Everything that you do as a teacher is under scrutiny because we work with children. And so they were very concerned about how things are communicated with them from this office and about them from our board and also from the superintendent's office. And I assured them that I would do my utmost to ensure that they're treated fairly, that their reputations are not vilified, and that they're able to work in a safe environment where their reputations are protected, because that is important. For some people, they'll tell you, my name is all I have. My name is all I have. And having my name be clear is very important. Also, they wanted to ensure that whenever they had information to share through the superintendent and through the superintendent or the board, that they felt supported by both the superintendent and the board. And there were some concerns expressed about the level of support that they receive from board members specifically. And they were very emphatic in that at times they don't feel safe. They don't feel like their good intentions when things are communicated about principals. I assured them that I would address those issues. And I wanted to bring it to your attention to ensure that you're aware that our principals are irreplaceables. They're an inexhaustible resource. It's very difficult to replace a veteran, experienced principal in a school district like Bridgeport with an inexperienced principal. And it's very difficult for principals to begin their career with fear of making mistakes. Lots of people go into careers with the ability to make mistakes without being vilified or having fear for their employment ending rather rapidly and abruptly over a mistake. And I assured principals that if they make a mistake, I will be the person standing in front of them to ensure that their reputations are protected. And I would be the person working with the Board of Education to ensure that we're treating them fairly and that when things occur, they're handled professionally and following board policy. So those were some of the topics that we discussed in our first BCAS union meeting, and we will be meeting monthly. If there are any items that you'd like to refer for those meetings, please let me know. Had the opportunity, my clicker is slow. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Sorry. Had a great opportunity to meet with State Representative Jeff Curry, who came representing the congressional delegation in the state of Connecticut. He chairs the Congressional Education Committee, and he wanted to talk about just how the state of Connecticut has really high expectations for Bridgeport Public Schools, how excited they are about the things that they're seeing happening in Bridgeport Public Schools, and the support that they want to provide for our school district and for our superintendent, myself. So it was really refreshing to have someone unsolicited come to visit to offer support, to say positive things about our district and the things that they're seeing, not only in social media, but in the news about our district and how those things need to continue. So I was really pleased to have that feedback, and I look forward to continuing to work with State Representative Jeff Curry. We also began very critical work with our communication strategist, Veronica Sofer. We are fortunate to have an award-winning K-12 communications expert and public relations practitioner supporting our efforts to rebuild the reputation of our district, our board, and our entire educational system here in Bridgeport. She is going to be working with us to ensure that we have a district website that is responsive, that is intuitive and easy to navigate, that we have campus websites that are aligned and attractive, that we have publications that are sent out frequently for all of our community members, that we also have a strong and positive social media presence, that we have communication modalities that are aligned throughout our district for every single leader on our campuses, every teacher, everyone who posts on social media who works for our district will have a set of rules that we will follow for how we post information online, and also strategic training for the superintendent's team, for publications, for communication, and for all of the pieces that will be needed in order to strategically change the reputation of our school district for years to come. So I was very excited to be able to do with her. The next piece, we have been able through a qualified purchase to begin working with Thought Exchange. and we'll be utilizing their platform in order to have two-way communication between our school district, between our principals and their students, our school principals and their teachers, between the district and all of our stakeholders. We'll be able to actually do surveys. We'll be able to gather feedback. We'll be able to engage in actual conversations with the community through this tool. And we'll be able to ensure that our strategies align with our district needs, promote trust, and promote transparency in our community. I had the opportunity to meet personally with Make the Road, which is an exciting organization that supports our Spanish-speaking immigrants and community members who may be here seeking asylum or maybe newcomers to our community. And during the event, we had a Q&A where I answered questions directly from the audience. Mr. Benahan was in attendance and pledged his undying support for the work of the superintendent and for all of the changes that are forthcoming in the district. And it was phenomenal to be able to tour their facility, see the services that they're providing for all members of the community, and the space that they're sharing with other nonprofits in that facility. So they're a phenomenal organization. Very proud of their work. I was also able to visit Harding and witness Yaneli Espinal providing our business students with financial literacy expertise. And she also shared a free copy of her book, Mind Your Money, and engaged with Q&A with our students so that they could learn more about why perhaps we do not want to use Apple Pay for everything, and why perhaps we want to make different choices when we secure credit cards, how to actually maximize spending versus saving, and how to be more mindful of every single dollar that they're able to save before they go to college. So it was very rewarding to see them engaging in that conversation. I was also able to plant my very own tree in front of Blackham School in Connecticut's first Miyawaki forest. And that is actually a Japanese method that transforms urban areas, mimicking natural processes and using native plants. They also planted a second Miyawaki forest at Winthrop Elementary later that day. So that was very exciting to have fifth graders, teachers, and all sorts of people from the community participating in this exciting endeavor. It's every time, you know, we're making memories. Every time we go by Blackham, we're going to see that forest. I promised the kids that I would visit my tree and ensure that it does not wither and die. And I also promised that we will make sure that all of us, as we go by on Thorn Street, stop and relax and enjoy just the beauty of having something that came from our own labor with our own two hands. And yes, I managed to keep my dress white. Also participated in a really exciting Bridgeport Public Schools Debate League orientation at Discovery Magnet. Got to meet some awesome expert debaters who had a mock debate for the students who will be beginning their journey in debate, and was able to participate with all of the students at Discovery Magnet, students from all over the district who want to participate in the league. My own daughter is participating in the league as well. So it was great to see her taking it all in and learning all of the different disciplines that it takes to be an expert debater. She's trying to practice those skills at home. It's not going well. I also attended the Bearsley School picnic, and that was last week, as a matter of fact, and it was a phenomenal event. I just really want to thank Principal Ladson Lang, I have trouble with hyphenated names, including my own, for hosting this event. Children and families were able to enjoy hot dogs and hamburgers. Phi Delta Kappa was there present to hand out books for our students. We were able to sign up for library memberships at the local library. They have a brand new library right down the street. And so it was really exciting to have a DJ and to be able to dance a little bit with the kids and just have a great time at their picnic. So please keep those invitations coming. I always enjoy them. And I also had the privilege of participating with the Connecticut Association of Urban Superintendents. We're a small group, but we're mighty. And we had an invaluable opportunity to connect with fellow educational leaders who are at the forefront of managing the urban school districts in the state of Connecticut. We exchange ideas, insights, experiences, and we definitely gather a lot of expertise from one another. For me, it was truly remarkable how the meeting fosters a sense of community amongst all the different superintendents in the state and the different challenges that we all face with our own small urban school districts. So it's really, for me, a very enriching experience. It helps me to refresh my skill set, and it helps me to know how to seek support and resources that I need to lead effectively in the state of Connecticut. So it was exciting. Also participated in the Commissioners Network at Bassick High School. Whether you know or not, Bassick is a Commissioners Network school. And that means that Bassick has to develop a plan that has to be approved by the Commissioner's office that indicates how we're going to move Bassick forward and what are the highlights, the priorities that we're going to actually focus on to improve the campus, to build student effectiveness, instructional effectiveness, student attendance, prioritize student learning, culturally responsive teaching, and also how we're going to design instruction so that Tier 1 and closing the gaps are priorities at Bassick, as well as other pieces that the school has actually itemized with their team. It was great to see parents present at the meeting and participating in this process. I have one of our committee members here present. Thank you so much, sir, for your support. And I'm very excited that we're going through this process. It really shows the dedication of the staff and of the leadership at Bassick High School. And our goal is to ensure that these pieces are in place and they're effective by the time that we open the new Bassick in 2025. Our very own Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Avery, met with Goodwin College to investigate how we can develop educational pathways within our high schools. We're very interested in developing more educational pathways for our students in areas that are not only appealing to them, but necessary for them to be successful in the next few years after they graduate. So our goal is to provide every student with equitable access to diverse learning opportunities that are inclusive and that ensure that no one is left behind. I just want to applaud Goodwin College for reaching out to us, for seeking our partnership in this process. And I am looking forward to the programs that we will build together for our students. And thank you again, Dr. Avery, for supporting with that endeavor. I was truly excited when I got this call. This is a photo of myself with Tony Johnson. He is immediately on my left, probably your right, and he's the Vice President of Community Engagement at Inframark. And Inframark manages our water treatment facility here in Bridgeport. So you're wondering, why did he want to meet with me? Well, there's several reasons. Inframark is interested in school to work options for our students, apprenticeship opportunities for our students, apprenticeship opportunities for our students who are in college and working with careers that have to do with biochemistry and other pieces that are needed to continue the path of water treatment. And also in providing a scholarship for a student at each one of our high schools. So that partnership, I think, is going to be a game changer for Bridgeport. It's an actual organization that is right here in our community, right here in our backyard, that impacts all of us who go to the beaches in the Long Island Sound. And so we want to make sure that we're building expertise right here in Bridgeport to ensure that the beaches are safe, that our water supply is safe, and that we are actually following effective water treatment practices. So I really applaud them for coming to us and for seeking this partnership. We had our first clerical gathering. So all clerical staff from across the district were invited for a sunset dinner. The name of the place was Joey C's. Okay, it wasn't in Bridgeport, but that was the place they selected. And we had a great time. Our clerical staff were excited. At first, they were a little shy, and then they dished a lot of tea. So we had a wonderful dinner, a wonderful time engaging with each other and learning more about what their needs are, how we can make their work better, and how we can partner with those of them that want to continue to grow and continue to grow to become teachers, continue to grow to promote within the district. And it was just a really exciting time to get to know all of them. And for those of you who weren't able to attend, we hope to see you there next year. We hope to make this an annual tradition where we're able to meet and engage with them. So thank you all of the clerical staff who gathered with us. We had a great time. I am planning to have our first annual Thanksgiving dinner in November. We're going to bring together our custodial staff, our clerical workers, paraprofessionals, security guards, and SROs for a nice turkey dinner, place to be announced, in order to thank them for all of the work that they do in our district. And I specifically wanted to do it with this group because they're often the ones that don't get a thank you for all of the work that they do. And we really want to ensure that we send them off for Thanksgiving with a great meal, that we're able to enjoy some camaraderie, break bread together, and that we're able to send them off for the holidays just feeling positive about the place where they work, knowing that we care about them, and knowing that we're really appreciative of everything that they do to keep our districts running smoothly and our students safe. This morning, I was able to attend the 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing Band concert, which was hosted at Central High School, and multiple schools, our Bridgeport Military Academy, Central High School, Harding High School, and Bassett were able to attend for a workshop. So not only were you able to enjoy the music, they were also able to have a live workshop with our Marine musicians and servicemen. So they're going to learn more. They learned more about the musical craft. They learned more about music careers, and they learned more about music in general and how it touches each of our lives. So it was wonderful to have them here. It was the first time that they were visiting our city since the COVID-19 pandemic. And I really want to thank Mr. Caruso for providing this opportunity. This was his work in bringing this band to us from South Carolina, all the way from South Carolina. So we were really happy to host them and to have them in our campus. And I cannot end my superintendent's report without welcoming back Sam Marini. Mr. Marini tried to leave me right at the beginning of my tenure, and I told him that that was not allowed. And so he's back. We have a special gift for you. He's a tough guy. He wanted to come back to work right away, and I told him that I didn't want to see him until October. And he said, well, what am I supposed to do with my time? I said, I don't know, build a shed. And so he came back and showed me a picture. He built a shed. Sam, we love you. Thank you for all you do for us. Silently, gracefully, and professionally, every single meeting that we have. We thank you so much for that. So this concludes my superintendent's report. I'm sorry it was so long. October has been a busy month for me, and it's not over. So I may take the rest of the month off. Any questions?
All right, I will open up the floor for board members to ask questions. I'll go with Mr. Sokolovic, Ms. Baptiste Perez. Sokolovic.
Yes, thank you again for a thorough report. A couple of questions I have is When we first introduced the lady for the PR department, we were told it was going to be a 3-month short term while we search for a new, what's the progress of the RFP on that?
Yes, we're actually in the process of putting together an RFP. I spoke to Mr. Pyrus about that. And until we identify someone, she's going to continue to support us until someone is identified.
One of my concerns is having the appearance of structuring a contract to go 3 months and 3 months, because it's at $24,000. So a 6-month contract would be at $48,000, and so on and so on. That's just.
We have not discussed with her what her fee would be to continue to, we haven't extended a contract with her.
Right. I just want us to be aware that that RFP needs to be moved on relatively quickly so we can ensure that we put somebody in place on a permanent basis.
Okay.
Thank you. And my next question is.
I guess my question would be, is there a concern about the work that Ms. Sofer is doing?
I'm talking about process. I'm not talking about people. My concern is always process.
My concern is always people.
Well, we cannot bypass process. We must adhere to process at all times, rules and regulations, bylaws, purchasing ordinances are not suggestions.
I don't think I've broken any. I don't think I've broken any, but my concern is people.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying we need to get out for that RFP as quickly as possible to find a permanent person.
And I agree. I just don't like the appearance of impropriety on my part with this contract because there hasn't been any.
Right, I'm not making any aspersions. I'm just letting you know way ahead of time before, to prevent an issue from happening, which is.
Ms. Sofer has done nothing but come to provide great expertise. And I'm asking, is there a concern?
And I said, no, I'm concerned with process and only process.
Okay,
now
well,
now for my next concern is you've answered my question adequately. Thank you very much.
No, but I'm not done answering your question. I'm not done. If there isn't, no, it's not a debate. It's not a debate.
All right.
But I have the right to answer your question.
Go ahead, finish, Dr. Levy.
If there isn't a concern about the work, if there isn't a concern about the quality of the services that we are receiving, but the issue is process, is it because you feel there's going to be somebody out there who is better than an award-winning K-12 strategist?
Possibly. We won't know unless we put out that RFP. We've got our legal advice. What could the possible concerns be through you, Madam Chair?
Please enlighten us.
If we bypass process and just select people at random without having anybody have a chance to.
No one said anything about bypassing.
Well, that's
process.
all I'm speaking of process. Even if she's
Madam
the best
Chair,
person.
Can you call this meeting into order?
Well, I'm trying to move on to the rest of the question.
This isn't a debate back and forth. You're supposed to delegate who's speaking and
I understand that he's responding and you don't have the floor. He's responding to Dr. Levy's question. So please.
Neither does you.
Is Mr. Dugas responding? Are you asking?
I would like a response to what would happen if we just bypass RFP processes. I'm speaking of process. I'm not speaking of any aspersions to any person, just the process. If we bypass processes, procedures, protocols, what kind of liabilities could this board face, no matter how spectacular the person is?
Yeah, my understanding is through looking for a legal opinion that goes through the chair, and if the board wants an opinion on something, I'm happy to do it. Obviously, I need a lot more details and a lot of facts. Yes, you have to follow rules. I don't know if they're implicated here, but I'd be happy, to look into that if the board chair so directs me. But I think everybody understands there's processes and rules that have to be followed.
There's processes and rules that have to be followed, but there's also personal bias. And I'm at the point where I feel like there's personal bias. It doesn't matter whom is in that position. If it's someone that I have recommended or brought in, there's going to be a question about that person, about my process, about what I'm doing. I could present the most amazing person to this board, and there will still be some type of objection. And at that point, it becomes personal bias, not process. It's about the people, and the people being me.
All right, Mr. Sokolovich, can you finish your questions?
Yes, thank you. Again, we put out an RFP. It was not an RFP, but CES was selected to find a permanent deputy superintendent. Can we get an update on where that stands, where it's advertised, and
Is that Mr. Pires or that?
no, that would be Dr. Levy David.
That would actually be a human resources question.
Okay, can we reach out to, because I know we're currently in flux on our human resources, so I would just like to know, maybe from CES, somebody reach out to CES, where it's advertised, how it's advertised, and maybe we should consider also putting it on our board website as well to reach a wider audience.
So now the issue is with Dr. Avery, and
No
Dr.
issue.
Avery being in an interim position in the district.
The issue is finding a permanent superintendent, a permanent deputy superintendent, like we said we were going to.
No, I know that we said
And
that,
Dr. Avery
but
Warner,
he only got here 2
I'm sorry,
weeks ago.
excuse me, I'm speaking, and we haven't been assigned.
He's been in the seat 2 weeks.
Correct, and this is
What has he done?
This is no aspersion on Dr. Avery. Dr. Avery came in on an interim. Interims are interim. He's more than welcome to apply for the full position, but again, we must go through a process that we put out there.
Okay.
All right, next question, Mrs. Sokolove.
And next, and last, now you may feel this is another personal attack, but you recently just said that we entered into a contract with a service provider for the surveys. That contract has been signed?
We talked about it at committee. I think it was explained thoroughly during committee why we needed to seek another provider, and it was answered during committee.
Okay, so there's currently a contract that's been signed without approval from the full board. Because it was only discussed at committee, it was not brought to the full board for approval. And this contract is over $25,000. This is not an attack on Dr. Levy David, this is an attack on the process that has not been followed.
Is that all your questions?
Yes, and we need to approve that as a board, or it's not a valid contract. We're liable for a contract that we didn't approve.
Just take a vote to terminate me if that's what you want to do, Mr. Sokolovic. I'm tired. I am tired. Tired.
Termination.
Well, what else is this? It's, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
We're moving forward.
Bring it before the full board is all I ask.
Sokolove has finished. Ms. Baptiste Perez, you have the floor.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Ms. Baptiste, you have the floor.
At least I wrote my comment. First, I wanted to thank Dr. Levy David for being so thoughtful to every level that when it comes to staff and administration in the school district. My 2 years that I've served on the board, I found it pretty appalling that we never took a day or a time or a month to appreciate our principals, who are the leaders at the helm at each building, who are responsible for whatever policies we come up with as a board that actually is implemented and enforced building to building. And so taking time to appreciate them and all their hard work, it is all about morale. It is morale in the district. It is morale for a board. The way we are going to attract people is to treat each other with dignity and respect, as well as appreciate each other, even down to the janitors, which I didn't know that it was custodian. I'm probably using the wrong term, but
Custodial Appreciation Week.
Custodial Appreciation Week. Because everybody in this role for this district, we need to think of this from a perspective of, I'm going to use a quote from Gabrielle Bernstein, light and love for the kids. We wouldn't be serving and doing this job, this elected role, if it wasn't only for the children. We serve the children, we come up with policies to serve the children, and it is a team effort. And so I do appreciate the principals, the staff, Sam, and everyone coming back. I think the superintendent's report was extremely thorough, and until certain comments are made, gives me immense hope for this district. The programs that we have, it makes me as a parent in a charter school reconsider what Bridgeport is offering, because it is special, because it is unique, because the partnerships that in 1 month, in 2 weeks, we're building with colleges and universities, exclusive scholarship opportunities just for Bridgeport alum. You don't hear about that. And in my 2 years on the board before, definitely did not hear about it at all. And so I am somewhat disappointed at the attacks because we truly have something special here. And we are truly under the radar and in the attention and eyes, not only for our political atmosphere, but for the success of the district as we are continuously trained. And I highly hope that we appreciate that our training will lead us to do what we have to do in our ethical capacity for this district. That's all I have to say.
All right, and I'll go around and give board members the opportunity to ask any questions you have. Ms. Perez? Mr. Traber? Oh, I didn't even see him. Mr. Binahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, Dr. Levitt David, I have to say thank you for your report. Be as a board member for 4 years, I like your report because you go, process about process, and I really like that. So that's what the people they want. Second, I have to say thank you for the make the road when we was there. I'm very proud as a Latino and all the parent was there, Latino. The message you talked to them, and that's what they was waiting for, have somebody translate, in Spanish they can understand. Not the people was that there, people that were outside. They was very happy that you make a message in Spanish, how you say you're gonna come in, how you're gonna be there, how you're gonna support them, and that's because in Bridgeport we got population, Spanish, people, and to a different country, and they're very happy. And that make me proud as a Latino, that our population, the Latinos were coming out and come and work with you and work with the community. And I'm very happy that they happened. It was very nice from you. So I want to say thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Traber?
Yes, thank you, Madam Superintendent, for your report. I had a question that I raised at the last meeting. You provided the detailed expulsion data, and if I recall correctly, and I'm not certain that I do, you were going to send us that data. You provided the actual data that I asked for, and I don't recall ever seeing it. So I just wondered if you could send it to us.
You didn't get the day-by-day data?
I don't recall seeing it, no, ma'am.
I'll send that again tonight.
Thank you. And then I'm trying to avoid what just happened here, but you said you're working on the RFP. Will it be out soon, or when's it going to be out?
Which one?
The PR, I don't know what it's called, well, I prefer public relations, but branding sort of depends on me.
Yes, it has to.
Has it been issued?
Because our contract expires in November. So after November, we will not have any PR support.
Right, it's October. It was August, September, October, November, right?
Yes, it's been requested.
So when do you expect it to be issued?
When will that be issued, Mr. Pyrus?
The next contract, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't control when the contracts committee meets.
I understand that. And has the assistant superintendent position been posted?
The assistant superintendent position has already been sent over to CES, yes.
So it has been advertised, or whatever it would be called?
It was actually advertised and we received no responses, at which time I reached out to Dr. Avery. So we will repost. And I think I explained during the last committee meeting that people do not want to come here precisely because of what occurred here a few minutes ago. They do not want to be part of any type of process. I know you are, but I'm answering your question.
I'm trying to avoid that.
Yes,
yes. Actual questions that I can simply understand where we're
at. But I'd like to finish. Okay. So the reason why we have to repost is because we got no bites the first time. And when I asked people who were retired, who were available, when they saw board meetings, when they read about the district, and they read all of the things that are out there that are very negative, they did not want to come here, even at the expense of supporting me, whom they know and trust. I was able to get one person to answer me, and I'm very, very thankful that he moved all the way across the country to come and help me, and that's Dr. Royce Avery. Thank you.
So it has been reposted and re-advertised, if you will.
I think I established that.
I just, when you went off, I wanted to make sure that
I didn't go off. I was answering your question.
No, ma'am, you weren't. You were speaking
All
to
right,
the
wait.
point.
Here we go
You were
again.
speaking to the
Just-
point.
just
That's all I
answer-
wanted to
just-
ask
Mr.
was, has it been reposted again?
Here we go again.
Just ask the question.
I was only asking a factual question. You wanted to,
Doesn't matter what I say.
thank you. That's all I asked. Thank you. I'm
All
done.
right, Mr.
Madam
Schreiber,
Chair.
is all your questions? Ms. Allen, do you have any questions?
I've listened, I've learned a lot. And I hope to be able to use and spread what I've heard, what I've learned here tonight, and what I've learned all during the sessions to my constituents.
Thank you so much, Ms. Allen. Ms. Casimir.
Just in the interest of time, I'm just going to keep my comments very short. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Levy David, for your hard work, for your out-of-the-box thinking, for your support of our leaders, and for your efforts to hold it together in a situation that's not easy at all. I want to thank Dr. Avery for being your sidekick, and I know that board members are very limited to what we can do to help. But just like I told you on that first one-on-one meeting that we had, if there's anything at all that I can do to help as a board member with anything within my mental and creative capacity, I'm willing to do so. So I just want to say thank you. That's it.
Mr. Gillen.
I'm going to keep my comments short as well, but again, thank you for the great report, Dr. Levy David. And I just want to keep the message of hope, and I love what you're doing with the morale. I think that's key to start the foundationary work that needs to be done in this district. So whatever support you need, and continue to recognize our team members, which is critical in this district, in any work really, but critical in this district. The morale has to, be there, and also the trust. So again, you have the trust of the team members, you bring the morale up, and we'll support you. And again, anything you need. But again, with process and what have you, that's a conversation for another time, I think, at this point. But I do have one question just about the BASIC, the commission, with the commissioner. I think was really great work there. When do we expect reports to generate as far as the progress? What are some of the priorities that be the top 3 priorities that you want to tackle first in BASIC, and how will we get the updates? Would it be in this forum? Would it be via email? If you could want to talk about that a bit.
Thank you so much for asking the question. The priorities for BASIC are very similar to the priorities for the entire district. Their plan is one that has to be approved by the state. And right now we are in the process of revising and refining the plan for submission. As far as when we will be able to have updates, I'm going to get a timeline from Margaret Hughes and her team so that we can know exactly how the evaluation process will unfold. And once we have that data for the evaluation process, I'll be able to speak with more confidence about how to report the data back to the board.
Thank you. And great work with the scholarships and as well. I think, this report was very thorough and hopeful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If that concludes any questions, Mr. Traber?
Yeah, I had one other question I forgot to ask about thought exchange. Since we have a signed contract, we'll have no further discussion on this, but after the committee meeting where we had the discussion, the initial discussion, I saw a report on the news about proposals both nationally and in this state about artificial intelligence. And if I recall the presentation that was made at the committee meeting, Thought Exchange uses artificial intelligence to do some of the information gathering. So I had hoped that when we had the discussion at the board level, that we would have a chance to explore how that is used to analyze the data and interact with our parents and students in the use of that program. So at some point, I would still like to have that presentation made to the board or the committee. because it seems to me that it's more important than ever that we take a look at the use of artificial intelligence within our school community and the interactions of the members of our school community.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments, we'll move right into new business. The first item is discussion. Yes. Oh, Mr. Finnegan?
Yeah, I'm asking personal privilege.
Sure.
Can we keep forward? Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. I want to say this with Dr. Levitave. As we are 20 years almost in the district and be around and do so many things, in the schools, and I would never do something to hurt my district. I know my parents and my students are my priority. When my students or my parents, they are not communicating, not helping the way it's supposed to be, it's an issue for me. Like, I get why they not communicate. But I always tell them that you do the process, call the principal, assistant principal, the protocol, anything. And when they tell me no, something like that, I'm worried about that. And now there was some issue about what happened in Columbus School situation. I know I email you, and I like to, when they say, no, nobody contact me, that's why we're not sending email out to the whole board and the you. Because I like to be transparency. I don't like to hide, and I want the board to know what's going on. But I didn't do it on purpose to hurt no one. That's not my intention. That's not my thing. Before as a board member, now as a board member, I would never do that. But I know sometimes they understand, maybe they understood my email in the process, what I write, social media, stuff like that. And that was not my intention. But I want to do for the record and the public. If Columbus School, they think they do something against that, no. I want to say, apologize, but so now, and we have it on live in for the record. They think that hurt someone in the Columbus School, the staff. That's not my thing. That's what I need to let you know, because I don't want to feel like Mr. Benahan is against somebody. No, I'm not here. I'm here to work for everyone. And you know that for the day one when you came here, I say you are the person that we work for the process. And look at what you're doing. Have the short time. You're doing amazing things, because I have to say the truth. People, they don't like it. They don't like it. I'm not going with that. I'm not going about negative stuff. I like to keep forward. Nothing is perfect. Things going up and down, normal. But I want to publicly apologize, if they think that I did something wrong, or they think that I'm against the staff from Columbus School. I know Columbus School when I came here to the United States, from Puerto Rico, 1984. That was my first school, me and my sister. So, I know I went to the Bispo School here. So I really, people understand that I'm not here to attack nobody. I'm not here to tell you what you have to do, nothing, because I know you're doing your job. But when I was worried about when the parents come to see me and say me, it's nobody contact me. That's why I worry about it. It's in my blood. I'm not doing this on purpose to be against you, nobody, and either the staff. But that's why I wanted, for the records, I'll give my apologize for the staff of Columbus School, and I want to keep forward. I know you really contact. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And as a board member, I always try to not us get sued. And I can show you proof that I really avoid force sue to be sure we don't have that issue. And I was trying to do that. But I really spoke with the mom, and she's trying to understand, they really contacted. And I really appreciate that. Some people, they would be funny what I'm saying, but it's coming from my heart. And this is not something I started yesterday. It's not because I don't even have a title to help my parents. Am I going to keep forward? And I want to keep trying working with you as you doing right now. I just want to put that for the record. Right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The first item in new business is discussion and possible approval to renew membership for Council of Greater City Schools. It is located in your package, board members. There's no one to present on this item. We do use this, and we have used it in the past, so it's a matter of renewing it. And if that's something that we have to bring before the board to even renew the membership of it. So I'm not sure if board members are familiar, but I will open up the floor for comments and questions. I ask that you stay on the actual item and that we stay on task as far as what we're going to talk about. So I see Mr. Sokolova, your hand is up.
Yeah, I would like to start off the conversation with making a motion to approve and to renewing the membership of Council of Great City Schools.
The motion on the floor, Mr. Traber. Traber second it. Now we'll continue conversation.
My motion, I should be
Go ahead.
First. Yeah, we've used Great City Schools for the past, I guess, as long as I've been on the board and 10 more years before that, I believe. The former chair, Ms. Aura Baracco, is one of the people that brought it to us, and it's been quite useful for me. We are a unique district. While we are the largest district in Connecticut, which gives us the eligibility to join the Great City Schools, we are one of the smallest members of the Great City Schools. Now, I have utilized them in the past a couple of times. Most recently, being informed that, yes, there are other cities that use lobbyists and firms when the city has told us, no, nobody does that. It's unheard of. But having that experience and that contact with them allowed me to bring that forth. And a lot of the DEI initiatives I take the lead from Great City Schools. Now, CAVE is also wonderful. They're not the topic of the agenda, but they have 169 districts and maybe 6 or 7 of them are urban. So we fall in that in-between spot. Both are useful. I believe many members of our staff use it. I'm not sure if they still do, but I remember Dr. Jenkins using it quite a bit, and maybe Dr. Morgan, if I'm not mistaken. So it has been useful to staff and board members in the past, and I believe it will be useful in the future.
So for board members, I know, and just before I go on to next, further board members for discussion, right now you see is the invoice for the membership, but each of us should be receiving like emails that come from Greater City Schools. So you probably will see the emails more than anything, any of the trainings, any of the, if you serve on committee, that's what's in your email. I probably next time this comes before, I'll make sure they put the actual packet of it in here. So, but this was all that was provided for us to approve. So I just want to clarify, because I know I see faces and I want to make sure you guys are aware. I saw Mr. Traber's hand up. No? Oh, you just seconded it. Is there any further comments or questions on this? All right, so motion has been made. It's been properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So I want to make sure, because last time we didn't do this, so I just want to make sure. I'm gonna do it again. All in favor?
We'll do a roll call.
Yes, so I can hear everyone's aye and no one is skipped. Ms. Casimir? Mr. Gellin? Mr. Benahan?
Aye.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Aye.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Traber? Ms. Ms. Allen? Ms. Baptiste Perez? Bobby Brown, aye. So there you go. Now it's clear. All right. So there's no need to do, but I'll say it. Any opposed, any abstentions? Only we have one Mr. Gellin abstained. All right. So the next item is discussion possible motion to rescind vote taken at last regular meeting dated September 26, 2023 in regards to selecting an RF firm to conduct DEI professional development services for Bridgeport Public Schools. This item came through committee, also gone through the board, so the entire process. Mr. Kolovic asked for it to be add back on. So Mr. Kolovic, it's your item. You have the floor.
Thank you. Since this is an unusual motion, not really used, I added Robert's Rules of Order regarding this for everybody's perusal. Yes. Unfortunately, I missed my first meeting within 6 years due to circumstances somewhat beyond my control. And I am here today. I listened to the meeting afterwards, and then what I heard was kind of confusing, because they said children weren't involved in constructing RFP, and the children and teachers weren't involved. This was a process that lasted a little while. Since I've been on the board in my 6 years, I've never had a child assist with an RFP or have input to the RFP. Where their input is taken is in the contract. In both contracts, both contracts were not even really mentioned or considered or debated in the last meeting. They were just debating the RFP and the construction of the RFP and just either throwing it out or tabling, which, as we've heard time and time again, RFPs take 3 to 6 months to deliver. I don't want to get into a situation where we hire another temporary person. We need permanent people in our district to bring our district forward. As the superintendent presented in her presentation, that we need these trainings for our teachers. So we have 2 African-American female applicants who have put forth contracts that have not even been considered. And if you want to talk about input from the committee and the community, it works the same way as when we hired the superintendent. We do the RFP, and in the deliverables, they go out and they got, if you look at page 6 of the Forward for Inclusion, which is my favorite thing, you will see parent education services, you'll see listening tour, where they go around the district and listen. And when they listen to people, then they format what they want to give, what kind of seminars and what needs. That's already encompassed in the contract for RFP. Now the first one is my favorite because I scored this. A group of people went and listened to these firms present, and we got we didn't listen. We didn't listen to them present. I apologize, but we did get back, and thoughtful process was put into selecting the RFP and selecting the number one firm. So we need to take 2 steps here in order to consider awarding this contract. First, we need to vote on the motion to rescind, and then we need to select one of these 2 firms. So I ask that you give these 2 firms that took the time and trouble to answer RFP the respect they deserve to hear their contracts out at the very least.
All right. Are there questions of Ms. Baptiste Perez, then Dr. Levy?
The complete packet compared to what was provided prior isn't here. And one of the things that stood out like a sore thumb was there was no superintendent feedback at all. No rankings, no opinions, nothing. So, and unfortunately, that wasn't provided in this packet before it. I think part of the logic that was involved is for an initiative that's going to involve the school, the leader at the helm should be involved, as well as the people, our constituents that would be impacted, which is first and foremost the students. And none of that was taken into consideration. And I don't necessarily see the need that we have 2 bids that we necessarily have to bite on any one of those 2 options. I think that there are, especially now and more than before, a strong executive cabinet that can give additional feedback and partake in this process and not be as limited as before. And from what I recall from the rankings that were not provided in this packet is that the interim superintendent didn't participate at all. So this would just be your expert opinion, Mr. Sokolovic.
Point of information, there was 4 or 5 people who scored these score sheets.
Yeah.
Not just Joseph Sokolovic, the director of personnel, the director of a couple other places. So there were professional evaluators doing this as well, not just Joseph Sokolovic. So please take that point of information for what it is.
No, that's included. That's about 4 or 5. I wish it was provided in this packet, but it wasn't. But what was key was that the leader of the district wasn't involved in the decision-making process. And a decision regarding the district, the leader of the district needs to be involved.
Dr. Levy David.
I'll save my question to Ms. Perez.
Ms. Perez.
I saw the summary of the ratings, and as Ms. Baptiste Perez said, that the superintendent wasn't involved. Is there a reason why Ms. Perrin wasn't involved at the time? Was it after her departure, or?
It was in flux with the transition.
That's my question.
And any further questions?
That was it for me.
I'm sorry, I'm lost. Which one are we talking about?
We're on item B. So item B is talking about which will be on item C.
Oh, that's not
Right.
not here. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. No.
So item B is just the language. That's it. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, it's part of the last board meeting's packet. You could, if you just click into the last board meeting and you could click,
it's in there.
then you can see what this, and it's, the superintendent's free to weigh in on which one she thinks is best, because this has been on the last agenda. I'm sure she had read through the packet to look at the contracts to see which one would be best. I have no problem with selecting, if the board votes for the second one, they vote for the second one. If they don't vote for my favorite, so be it. But these two people have applied. They went through the trouble of doing what it is. So I think we should select from the, it's not unusual for us to only get two bids. We've gotten two bids on multiple occasions. But these people, both these people are Connecticut and New York based. They know the district, they know the area, and they've done this work extensively. And they're both minority business enterprises. So I don't think we should disrespect those two African American women who have applied to our district. I want somebody who knows Bridgeport. I want somebody who is here that knows the city and knows our issues.
Thank you. Dr. Levy David, then Mr. Traver.
I don't dispute that the two bidders are probably experts in DEI. There are thousands of providers for DEI. This all arose and became more prominent after the slaying of George Floyd, and took a great deal of prominence as school districts and different organizations in corporate America was struggling to find ways to avoid something like that happening again, and support people with learning a lot about different cultures, differences, racial biases, prejudice, things that people often are not comfortable speaking about. I don't doubt that the two bidders are probably experts in that field. However, as the superintendent of this organization, I do believe that I have precedence over the selection of instructional materials that are going to touch students in this organization. And as such, my preference is for culturally responsive teaching. One of the things that has been found in research, and if you read the latest issue of the Harvard Review, as I assume that Mr. Sokolovic perhaps has taken the time to do, is that diversity, equity, and inclusion training has not been proven to change behavior. What we're addressing here is behavior, bias, prejudice, behavior. Culturally responsive teaching ensures that people are being educated in what makes us different, how to address those differences, and how to support students in being successful within their own cultural framework, rather than taking the approach that someone has to be trained on how not to be biased or prejudiced in order to teach our students. I also do not believe that the fact that the bidders are African American makes them any more competent than someone who may not be African American. I don't see why their race has anything to do with this. And I also do not believe that because two people took the time to submit an application, that we're obligated to take a vote on one of those two people. They could be both terrible. So it doesn't matter to me that two people applied. What matters is that I've been charged and I was hired to steer the direction of this district. And I have been have had constant attempts to thwart and obfuscate my efforts to do that by Mr. Sokolovic. And I would really like to be able to be the superintendent of this district and make decisions about instructional materials that are put in front of teachers and in front of our kids. The predominance of the teachers in our district are not people of color. I do not want to subject them to a training that perhaps would make them not want to work with our kids or make them feel like their expertise in racial relations is being called into question. That is not what we're aiming to do with teachers in this district. Our goal is to help to educate people on our cultural differences, why they matter, why they're important, and how we can help to support our students to learn. I do not want to take the approach of DEI. A lot of different organizations have moved away from it. Federal funding for DEI has dried up. We'd be taking up the banner of something that is dying a slow death across the nation. Why should we be behind the curve? Why should we continue with something just because it was begun 6 months ago? You have a new superintendent. Your new superintendent is saying DEI is not the way to go. And I wish that that would be respected, as I did earn 4 separate degrees, including a doctorate, to do this job. So if I have to constantly defend every single opinion and decision, this is going to be a really long meeting.
Hold on, there's questions. Mr. Traber?
I wanted to ask, Mr. Pires, when these evaluations of the bids were done?
Mr. Pyrus?
When were the evaluations done that we had presented to us at the last meeting? The question was asked by Ms. Perez accurately about why wasn't Ms. Parent involved? And so the time,
Mr. Pyrus?
no, and so I'm asking about the timing. So when were the evaluations of these bids done?
The July time.
Okay, so we were in the process of interviewing and hiring a new superintendent, and she was one of the persons applying for that job. Right? So that's all, that's the only question I'm asking is the time frame. So it was at the time of the application interviews for the position. Okay. Okay. So that's the answer.
Hold on, just, Mr. Pyrus, can you come to the mic? Because I didn't hear anything you were saying, sorry. Just so we have it on record.
I believe that the question was when the responses were expected back.
When you got the responses that we saw at the last meeting.
Mhm. It was in the early part of July.
And then if we are to do as the superintendent is recommending, we're basically saying that we wouldn't do this at all this year. Is that correct, Madam Superintendent?
No, that's not correct. We'd be doing culturally responsive teaching training for our staff.
No, I meant the DEI.
No, we would not be doing DEI.
That's all.
Okay. Are there any further questions? Ms. Baptiste Perez?
I move to call the question.
Roll call vote.
No, there wasn't a second. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gellin. Ms. Casimir? You called to question.
That means we stop talking. Oh, I'm sorry.
Means we limit conversation on it.
Oh, we limit the conversation, absolutely.
All right, Mr. Gellin?
Yes.
That's not what call the question is. Call the question is to the agenda item is now to be voted on.
Oh, I didn't, okay, so
Not discussing.
we're not, we're no longer discussing
That wasn't
it.
necessarily,
We're not-
yeah, that's the end debate.
Correct.
Right, which way?
That's
Okay.
what that, and I'm taking a vote on who wants to do that. That's what we're
Okay.
doing.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Is that what I said? Okay, that's what I said. So, Mr. Benahan? No?
No.
Mr. Sokolovic? Ms. Baptiste Perez?
Yes, end debate.
Ms. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Traber? Ms. Perez?
Yes.
I say no, but so currently all the ayes have it.
What's the vote?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So it's 5-4, motion fails. It requires 2/3 vote to call the question. So we continue discussion.
Okay, so Mr. Sokolovic.
Yes, I'm glad to hear the superintendent to say that the race shouldn't matter, especially after hearing myself called biased about 10 different times for questioning protocol. I don't know if it's because you're in a different environment. DEI may be dead in Texas, but we live in Connecticut where DEI is alive and well. We want our teachers taught, especially since many of them are from out of district and have maybe little to no understanding. We're talking about implicit biases and subconscious biases. We're not telling them they're racist. We're just telling them they may have some blind spots that they need to look at.
Are there any further comments on this item? All right, so the motion has been made. Yeah, oh, sorry.
I just have a comment, a question for my colleagues. Have we done, I guess, research on Dr. Levy-David's approach, perhaps, to compare and contrast whether or not is the DEI approach or a different approach will satisfy a particular need that we're seeking?
Throughout the community, I've been doing this pre-George Floyd, but she brought up George Floyd. But this work has been ongoing. We've received training as a board in culture and recognizing implicit biases, because implicit biases, they are real. There is implicit bias in every single one of us, even sitting here. And it's when we don't question that and when we do not learn from our errors. I mean, I had a journey in implicit bias. I could tell you how it started. I was like 23 years old. I was working on the subway. A British American came up who had black skin. He spoke to me in a British accent asking for directions. I looked at him like he was and it showed on my face, and he was disgusted. And then that's when I started questioning myself. These implicit bias, if they're not questioned, they go on forever and ever. So it's training that Dr. Levy David could take a co-approach to it. She could use CRT, but if you use the cinnamon CRT too many times, they're going to think it's something different. And they're going to attack the board. They're going to attack us. But this implicit bias training has been pushed by an NAACP, Bridgeport Generation Now, I believe Make the Road Connecticut. Every advocacy group in Connecticut pushes for the not dead and gone. And I believe my colleague even stood at a rally next to me at Stop the Hate and actually advocated for DEI and all these programs. So I don't know why it is a big switch right now, but we need to have this in place. If the superintendent wishes, so it's a 1-year contract. If the superintendent wishes to change gears, it's going to take 6 months. But in the meanwhile, we will have trainings in place.
Is there any further comments on this? Ms. Casimir?
I just have a question. Because I'm still wondering about, Robert's rules is anyway. I was wondering, can someone on the losing side of the vote ask for the vote to be considered?
Mm-hmm.
And if someone wasn't present for the vote, that's what I wanted to ask.
Yes. So I've sought legal advice from Mr. Dugas concerning this. There is a confusion between rescinding the vote and then I believe the other. If you would like to add, we had a conversation about it.
Correct. Where it's an action to be taken at a subsequent meeting, it's a motion to rescind the vote. You don't need somebody who voted in favor of it to act. That's only if it happens at the meeting where the vote was taken. All that's required in this case is that it be noticed, and it is in your agenda for the meeting. And then all you would need to rescind it would be a simple majority here.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to understand.
No problem. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
I just have a comment. I think it's detrimental to the district to take action and employ or grant someone a contract, given that on June 12th, graduation day is the day we voted for a new superintendent and who was ready to come in the district in July. Now, whatever happened in between, we have an interim that goes on vacation and yet has no feedback, no input at all in this. And now that we actually have a district-wide strategic plan aimed at Tier 1 instruction, culturally relevant teaching, and teacher capacity, that we don't at least take the time to actually do the research and to see what is actually being a national trend, but also be aligned as a district, so that way we're not just granting stuff that's outdated and not aligned with the goals for our teachers. June 12th will always stick out in my head. That's the date we elected a new superintendent for the district. The fact that the interim wasn't available to provide feedback speaks that it needs additional consideration.
All right, last comment, Mr. Sokolovic.
Can't be last.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. What was I gonna say? Yes. Ultimately, the decision is ours. We are the board. We decide on contracts. We decide on whether to issue RFPs or not. All those powers are within our domain. We should not cede those powers no matter who the superintendent is. this has been a constant song I've been singing since 4 superintendents. We have the right to issue this contract, to approve this contract. Contracts, as I've stated over and over and over again, I'm kind of getting sick of hearing myself say it, need to be approved by the board. And this is the proper process. To question some of the only purchases that have come through the board in the last few months that have been done by the book is really mind-boggling for me. This went through the process. There are people here that put their time and effort to creating this process. And if the superintendent wishes to go in another direction after the one-year program, one-year contract, she can do so. She could send out an RFP for our perusal, and we could contract that. How long does a standard RFP take? 3 to 6 months. And if this one goes out again, who's to say anybody else is going to apply? In the interim, we will have somebody in place to create these. Yes, I'll yield to. I'm losing my voice.
Ms. Baptiste Perez, then Ms. Perez. I'll let Ms. Perez go before me. Ms. Perez.
My question was, I yielded, I completely forgot my question.
Ms.
I'm gonna get back to you.
It's okay, I'll come back to you. Ms. Baptiste Perez. That's why I passed it to you. You know, I keep hearing about process and procedures. And we can follow the procedures, right? But if it has no valuable impact on the kids at the end of the day, what's the point in the process? If it's not going to serve our teachers to be the best teachers they can be, what's the point in the process? This is not aligned with the goals for the district. That's why it was killed in the last meeting. I understand why you've brought it back, but you know, it's disheartening. Robert's Rules of Order actually states that each speaker, the chair of the Board of Education, is supposed to allow each person to speak. You're not supposed to have someone go back and forth in a constant debate. It's supposed to have order. Each speaker is supposed to have the floor at least 2 times, up to 10 minutes, and it's up to the chair to end debate. I would like to see meetings follow the process so that way we can end at an efficient time. And I would like our meetings to be actually aligned towards the improvement of the education system and the promotion for Bridgeport to be the best Bridgeport it can be. Voting on something where we didn't even have leadership impact on it, we may have had 4 or 5 people who may not even be in the district anymore. Make a decision for our kids now that's going to impact leadership now, I think is a poor decision. Ms. Perez.
Sorry, I remember the question now.
Yep,
So,
go ahead.
So this RFP included some items that included the convocation keynote address, which has passed. So given that, if we were to approve it, what's going to be, how will we amend those, like the items on here that already have passed?
Yeah, that's probably a Mr. Pires question, and the contract could probably be amended to shift the dates around.
Yes.
You're asking if the RFP is to be reissued, what needs to be?
So if we were to vote on this today and approve it, there's items on here that have already passed, like the convocation keynote address. And so how would we go about that? That's part of the contract already.
Well, that's just an activity that took place already, so it wouldn't be included in. It'll probably be part of next year's keynote address.
I thought there was a dollar amount attached to that. If I'm not mistaken. That we would just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the inception of this is mostly for teacher professional developments. Students were also added to it, but all this stuff, we could sit down, Dr. Levy could sit down and ask about the providables. We have surveys. We've got a new survey company that could send out a survey to ask the kids what they want, and it could develop everything around that. This initially brought through actually a teaching and learning committee where I put up Title IX issues. We have board members and staff that aren't even aware that a person who identifies as another gender has the right to use the bathroom of their assigned gender. We have people that are oblivious to this. We have board members that didn't know this. And when I asked, I was told by the head of Title IX, no longer with us, that we do need additional professional developments around this issue. And this is an issue that's trending and moving very, very quickly legally, that we need somebody on the ground immediately to actually guide us with legal and make sure we don't become in violation of any laws or anything that's moving right about now. I'm starting to mumble, so okay.
Ms. Baptiste Perez.
I move not to rescind the vote taken at the last regular board meeting dated September 26, 2023, in regards to selecting a firm to
Point of
conduct DEI
information.
professional
That
development.
motion is out of order because there's already a motion on the floor
There
to
is.
do the opposite.
Okay, we'll call the question again.
Roll call vote. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, so there's a second by Mr. Gillen. Ms. Casimir.
Yes.
Mr. Gillen.
Yes.
Bennett's not here. Mr. Sokolovic.
No. Please take the vote when Mr. Benham walks back in the room.
That's not part of Robert's rules.
Ms. Perez. To stop the debate.
Yes.
Mr. Traber. Ms. Allen.
No.
Ms. Baptiste Perez, I'm sorry.
8:34 p.m. Yes, debate should end.
Mr. Benahan. We're talking to, we're called to question again to end the debate on this item. Stop debating.
Yes, please, yes.
And yes as well. All right, so now it's back to the main item is discussion, possible action, action on motion to rescind the vote taken at last regular meeting. Oh wait, it's already on the floor, so it's been
Roll call
seconded.
vote.
So roll. All right. Mr. Benahan, you're here to do it?
Yes, of course.
Go ahead, Mr. Benahan.
Ms. Sokolovic,
Yes.
Yes.
Traber. Ms. Siebel.
No.
She said no.
Mr. Benahan, yes. Baptiste Perez.
No.
Jennifer Perez.
No.
David Gillen.
No.
And Ms.
No.
Motion fails. So then there's no need for item C. The next item is item D, which is first read on the revision of policy 3515 and its relation to regulation of R1330 regarding use of public facilities. This came out of your committee, Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, forgot all about that one. Bear with me one moment. This was, this was the one with charging people for our facilities and having certain exclusions. And currently we exclude city service. I'm sorry, I definitely am a bit out of sorts right now. Give me a moment to. Does anybody know what page on the packet? 73, thank you. Yeah, I got to bring it back up. I just want to get the exact one. Well, anyway, to get discussion started, this was brought up in governance mainly because Lighthouse is underfunding us. We are foregoing approximately $375,000 to $400,000 in potential income by allowing Lighthouse to use our buildings free of charge. And there was a couple other exclusions for like Boy Scouts. The only exclusions I really want to keep are Bridgeport Board of Education, school-related activities and teacher-led activities, and to move the other three down to an area where they may be given a discount if they so choose. So this is a first read on the policy, and I still don't have it up. I apologize.
Are you done? Are you ready?
Yeah, we could have discussion while I pull it
All
up.
right, so open up the floor for discussion. Anyone has any comments to this item? All right, or is everyone looking? I think everyone's looking. Page 73. So there's no comments on this? So I'm assuming none, I don't hear anyone.
Hold on a second, please, I'm sorry. Yes, the motion would be to,
What's up? Well, then if there's no comments, then is someone like to make a motion?
wait.
Okay, well,
Hold on. There's no-
was there a motion on the?
There's no motion yet.
Oh, okay, so is there any comments? That's what I'm asking. No one responded.
We could do it after the motion as well.
All right.
As part of the
Someone like-
discussion.
Yes, Ms. Baptiste Perez.
I make a motion to table this to the next meeting so board members have a full time to actually read through the policy, have it first and foremost. Again, given it's 8:38 p.m., that way it's moved into the old business section and we can actually read through it thoroughly instead of looking right now for it.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mr. Gellin. Is there any further discussion? No,
He did have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I didn't
He
even
wasn't acknowledged by the chair, therefore you don't have a motion. Yeah, and I had my hand up and she looked at me. She didn't acknowledge you. Weren't acknowledged.
Madam Chair.
We have counsel here. We have counsel here, so if you want to ask, feel free.
Mr. Dugas, please. Yep, it was on. There you go.
I'm sorry, I don't even know what the question is at this point.
So I asked if there was a motion on the floor. I didn't hear anyone until Mr. Traber and then Ms. Baptiste Perez. So which motion do I give it to Traber or Ms. Baptiste Perez motion?
What was your motion again? To table?
To table.
I raised my hand and I was acknowledged by the chair to speak, and I moved to table this agenda item to the next meeting. Mr. Traber wasn't acknowledged by the chair, but did speak out of line to move the motion forward. And so the question is acknowledgement by the chair for who to speak, or is it just whoever shouts it out first?
If in fact you did say so move before that and the board chair heard that, then that would take.
She didn't hear it.
Yeah,
She didn't hear it. It's on YouTube.
No, but I asked, is there a motion?
I said so moved.
And then she raised her hand. So I'm just trying to figure out who do I did ask.
But why would she think that? It's sloppy Robert's rules to say so move. You speak what your motion is so there's clarification so people know what they're voting for. I so move. Yes, sloppiness should not be accepted in mediocrity in this district either.
All right, all right,
You know
Miss,
what?
all right.
No, you need to
Please.
stop.
Okay, please.
You need to stop. There you go. You're welcome. Anytime.
Point of order.
Let me know.
All right.
Point of order,
You
we're
both
getting
are out of order. I asked Mr. Dugas to respond. Mr. Dugas has responded, so
If you heard Mr. Traber,
I did hear Mr. Traber, but I also saw Ms. Baptiste Perez.
if you heard him first, then I would let the motion go. If people want to table it, they'll vote no.
Correct. All right, so it's been moved by Mr. Traber. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sokolovic. Any further discussion?
Of course, yes, because we gotta, this is only a first read, people. You're getting really excited. I mean, I know it's 8:35, but we've got the business of the children to get forward. This is potential hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know people want to get home and go to bed, but I'm here for the long haul. And we need to discuss the things that affect our children. And this $375,000 shortfall by the city of Bridgeport, who already underfunds us, is unacceptable to keep going on and on and on because somebody's tired. So I would like to make a motion for to accept the first read by amending on page, it's page, I can't see what the page is in our packet. 76 in the packet. What's the 70? Page 75 of the packet. 1, 2. After the second paragraph, all school-related student activities, that will stay. Bridgeport-based nonprofit youth organizations, that will be shifted down. I will clean up the motion after I'm done. We'll move down to a place that may be receiving a discount. I'm on page 75, if you're trying to follow. And then Bridgeport youth or adult activity sponsors directly by the city of Bridgeport, such as recreation programs, civil groups, and cultural groups. That will also move down under the potential discount item. We haven't discussed that number yet. And then city of Bridgeport municipal agencies, also below the discount line. The reason for this is it costs money to run these schools. It costs money to keep these lights on. The Bridgeport Police Department, and they have other places to use. They hold their civil service exams at Central High School. We still got to clean that building. Do we eat those costs ourselves? Lighthouse. We asked Lighthouse to come before us and give us information. Not once, but twice. Once before us, they sent us a packet where they complained about the amount of toilet paper we were charging them for. Toilet paper. The city that underfunds us was asking us how much we spend on toilet paper. Toilet paper. We get approximately $75,000 for the last, I don't know when it was passed, at least 10 years back. $75,000. We encumber, if we were to charge them at the rates we charge all our other organizations, it would be 400 and something, 400,000 and change. So we're foregoing about $350,000, $375,000 in revenues, and they haven't even sat down with us to talk to us. Now, if we pass the first read today, we can negotiate with them some more and try to get some more money for our children, which is why we're all standing here late at night getting a little cranky. So we need to move this forward as a first read. If anybody has any amendments they would like for the first read to be presented at the second read, they're more than welcome to do so. But this has been through committee a couple of times. If people would follow what's going on in committees, if they would read their packets ahead of time, I know some people are busier than others, but this should not be the first time you're seeing this unless you're being irresponsible and not following what you're supposed to be doing as a board member. We are all responsible for knowing what's coming on the agenda. Just because certain people are not prepared does not mean we table it. So now I'm going to clean up my motion. I move that numbers 1. I apologize. I move that numbers 2, 3, and 5 be moved under a heading. The following organizations may receive a discount of, put a blank there for now, because we haven't come up with a number yet, % off of costs, off of facility costs.
Is there a second?
Again.
Second by Mr. Traver. Is there any further discussion? Mr.
So in the finance community, have you discussed the effect that it will have like on parents with the and the cost of after-school activities for Bridgeport residents? Would it be a substantial increase? Will it just cost remain the same for the students? Just out of curiosity.
It will remain the same. It should remain, I would hope that the city funds their own program to the same level that we are funding their program. Now, the argument could be made, yes, it's for our children, but every one of these agencies named, everybody who comes in our building, be it a grant, they're helping our children. But some people are charged and some people are not. Now, unlike the city of Bridgeport, we cannot raise revenues. We cannot tax people. We cannot budget more money. We cannot spend more money than we have. But the city has the money to spend. The city needs to sit down with us and renegotiate that horrendous $75,000 per year that they're going to challenge us on toilet paper for. I mean, passing today is not a done deal. This is a first read, but passing today will get them to the table to up that thing or pay the full freight.
Yeah, I just have a follow up for that. Is there any way you can get us that analysis before we have any further discussion, so we can make an informed decision based on things a decision that will, as you stated, we are up here late, this for our children, and I think everyone that's at this table, are here to do the best thing. But I'm just concerned that we may have some unintended consequences. So can we just go take it back to committee, just to affect some analysis? We could just get the best team members. How will this affect the cost of childcare for parents who may be working late? I get home, around 5:30 myself. So how would that affect those families?
Well, if the city wants their program to continue, they will fund it. It's not a matter of the parents. It's a matter of the programs. It's a matter of the funding the program. Now, today is just the first read. If the first read is approved today, I could put it back on committees for that blank to have a discussion with the City Lighthouse program, but so far they haven't been very, very responsive with giving us information. We can't even see their books on how they spend the money. There's not even a line item of the $15 or the co-pays that the parents give. There's no line item for that cash anywhere that we can see. Now, if they want to come before the next governance committee, because this is a governance item, and show us where that money goes and how much money they got and why they cannot increase their funds, we could always vote it down at the next meeting. But if we don't do nothing now, they're not going to move. They're going to say, oh, they're just going to.
Well, again, I think maybe we can wait to the next meeting, but I just think we just need a more informed decision. So I'm not sure if we were able to even speak to members of the city of Bridgeport. We were able to get a delegation here to discuss, are they going to pick up the extra tab? I don't want to make any assumptions.
Right.
Because as for hardworking families in the district, I would hate for them to now continue to start paying extra for childcare. In addition, if Lighthouse pull out completely, that's also fair. So this is also for safety for our children.
I would hate to think the city of Bridgeport collapses the program over $300,000
Well,
change or a number to be
right.
negotiated.
So again, I think So again, that's my stand.
As a first read, this has no power as a first read. What it does is get us to the second read, and it gets us to the next step in the process. And it could be amended at the second read. We've amended so many policies at the second read before it was accepted.
All right, Mr. Traver?
Yeah, my recollection at the governance meeting is that we amended this policy to allow the superintendent some leeway. Is that language? I didn't hear you raise it here. Is it in here?
No, I did not. But if somebody could construct that language, I'd be more than happy to take a
We don't have that in here.
friendly amendment.
We gave the superintendent. We
I
gave
can't
the
remember the
superintendent
sentence we
leeway.
used. It was something like exceptions may be made on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, the reason my recollection is that at the committee meeting, which is why I was supporting it tonight, is that we reached a friendly, we did the work. We had the hard discussion and the superintendent raised our concerns and we addressed those concerns. And so I want to see the first read move forward because we did that work and raised those concerns. So now I want to see that in here before we finish the first read.
Dr. Levy-David, do you recall your amendment?
It was a concern that she have the authorization to waive fees.
That is correct. I did raise concern that we have partners who bring programs that our students would not have access to if we were to charge exorbitant fees for our facilities. And I raised the example of the annual chess tournament where a chess master is flown at the expense of the organizer and actually housed at the expense and fed at the expense of the organizer so that our students who practice chess and actually love chess, and we've been growing that program every year, are able to enjoy that type of access without us saying, okay, now you have to pay us this amount of money in addition to paying all of this cost for bringing this expert here. And I'd also like to add that any policy that we develop that puts us in opposition to the city is unwise. The city, we're not an independent school district. Those exist in Texas and other states where the school district has all the responsibility for its income, including debt service. We don't have that luxury. If the city were to decide tomorrow, only city employees will receive the full benefits of our medical care package bundle that we provide, but the BOE will not, our teachers and staff would not be able to afford their medical coverage. So I don't think it's wise to antagonize and bite the hand that feeds us, no matter who is in the mayor's office. This is not political. It's about what's best for the students and the citizens and personnel in our district. We are reliant on the city for the funding. There is a city council in place. I think if we have an issue with what we are paying for the Lighthouse program, we should avail ourselves of the opportunity to take it to city council and say, this is a problem. We have a monetary issue that we want to address. How can you support us in making this a better relationship and partnership between the district and the city? But to take an oppositional stance against the city, no matter how short my tenure has been in the state of Connecticut, I mean, I've been in other cities, it has never been a good idea. It's just never been a good idea. We do rely on the city for a lot of services. We partner with them for a lot of services. And there's quite a bit of, intermarriage in that relationship with funding. We do not need to antagonize the city by saying we're going to take a stance that is going to penalize you for not giving us the support that we need with the funds for Lighthouse. I think that we can reach an amenable result by having a collaborative conversation that's productive, where we actually behave like professional adults who are educated and know how to reach out to our elected officials and have them help us with this issue, versus writing policy that's punitive only to the people who go to schools in Bridgeport. I'm done.
Oh, Mrs. Okolovic, then Ms. Baptiste Perez, he had his hand up first.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I just heard you say that the city of Bridgeport will take vengeance on our school district if we antagonize them.
You're not only wrong, you're deaf.
Okay. Point of order, that was very disrespectful. I asked a question that was uncalled for.
That wasn't what I said.
That is very disrespectful and borderline.
Putting words in my mouth or misconstructing what I said.
All right.
Did you just
That was not a question. You were being condescending and rude. Cut it out.
We're on borderline insubordination here in public. We are your employers. You
take a vote and fire me.
Nobody wants to fire you.
Mr.
You keep
Sokovic.
saying now. So yes, thank you very much. Please keep the personal attacks to a minimum and let's be professional. I am here on my own time. I'm not being paid $250,000. I should be treated with respect for my volunteer. I would like.
Go to your question.
Okay, now, this is a move to get them to the table. We've invited them to the table several times prior to your tenure. We did not just invite them. This is not just made up today because you're here. This has been on the agenda going on, what, 4 or 5 months at least, going back and forth on this issue. We are asking them to come through the table. Our policies set our fees. Yes, we may have a relationship with the city, but that's an abusive relationship. And the only way we could do it, we control the board, we control the money that comes to the board. We control the city, the buildings, until we release them back to the city. They are our buildings. We are paying for electricity. We are paying for janitors. We are paying for security guards at these events, and they are coming out of our children's pockets. Our children's pockets. That 350-odd lost revenue, that's coming out of a child's program. That's a teacher that's not getting enough supplies in their classroom for a city-run program. They're diverting funds from the Bridgeport Board of Education back to the city program.
President, Mr. Gellin.
Robert's Rules of Order requires that every person has an opportunity to speak, and that once a person has the floor, not until the full board goes around do they have the opportunity to speak as well, and they can have the floor for up to 10 minutes, nothing more. I think we need to be mindful of some of the unintended consequences of having a targeted program that we want to address and other programs being offered in this district. I had the opportunity to attend a basketball program at Bassick High School that for years were providing a free service to the students, but now was considering changing locations because they couldn't afford the fees, let alone how the fees change was communicated to them. And so if there's an issue with Lighthouse, good politics would be to bring the issue there, but to raise the fees without taking into consideration the services that our children receive that keeps them off the street. And it was an amazing program I got to see, because you want to target Lighthouse just doesn't necessarily sit right with me. Going to target Lighthouse, you address that problem face on, but the way this is written, it will have unintended consequences for a multitude of programs that run in our buildings that will feel the real heat of the price increase. And this doesn't necessarily give a notice provision to it as to when they learn about the price change. So they can be in the middle of running their summer program and learn that there's an additional $5,000. They're going to get rid of the trophies that they were going to purchase for the kids. So I think there needs to be more thought into the unintended consequences for this policy. I understand, you know, money. Results. It's about the kids. And there's not always going to be a correlation to money and the kids, because we really don't need to be nitpicking at everything, because a dollar won't necessarily change the actual heart that a teacher puts in their classroom or actual program that's keeping the kids off the street. And so the unintended consequences for it and additional information, I kind of agree with, I agree with Mr. Gellin. Did I pronounce it right? Yes. It took several meetings, but yeah, Madam Chair, is there a motion on the floor? Yes. Okay. And so, wait, who made the motion? Okay, and it was second. So I move to call the question. Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gellin. Casimir?
Yes.
Mr. Gillen,
Yes.
Mr. Benahan, Mr. Sokolovic,
No.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Traber,
No.
Ms. Allen.
No.
All right, Ms. Baptiste Perez.
My mic was on. Yeah, call the question. Yep.
I'm gonna abstain. Back to you, Mr. Benahan. No. All right, so it continues. Mr. Gillen, you had your hand up next.
I really felt like we debated this to the ground already, so I think but if we need to continue debating, I'm all for it. Mr. Sokolovic, can we please, I think I said what I said already about the lighthouse, and I think, we just need those numbers. I think it's really impactful. I just think it's really impactful and tell the real, a whole story about how it will affect the multi-dimensional, three-dimensional world, right? Going into just targeting one program, we just need to see how it affects the community as a whole. That's number one. But also number two, collaborating. I'm not sure how we do this, but have we had delegation representative in our finance meetings at all? Have we requested to have them at our meetings? Have they sent representation? Have they sent?
They sent us a bunch of paperwork. I can't remember if anybody was actually there. Did anybody actually appear? I'll yield to Mr. Traber to answer that question. Yeah.
Mr. Traber.
No, I'm actually going to raise kind of.
Okay, so it's not to answer this question.
Which is like stop the back and forth.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's, okay, so then.
Well, Madam Chair, there is a parliamentary way to do that. Mr. Gelanozy would state through you, Madam Chair, and then ask the question.
Yes.
Your question could be asked, but you got to put it through her, and then she puts it to me.
Got it. The finance committee, have we had representation, recent representation from a representation from the delegation, Bridgeport delegation?
I have Mrs. Sokolovic.
To the best of my recollection, they sent a packet of paperwork with, I could possibly be wrong because there's a lot of issues that go through back and forth, but I don't believe they actually sent something. They just sent a whole bunch of papers and if somebody was there that could correct.
I don't.
But if somebody was there, it's not an intentional oversight, but we've got a whole bunch of packets. If you can look back in the packets now.
When was this request made? Do we have a time and date where the request was made and when the package was sent? Was it during the last quarter? Was it 6 months ago, 9 months ago?
It was on the agenda about 6 or 7 months ago for the finance committee, and I believe 2 or 3 weeks prior, the request was made for somebody from Lighthouse to come up.
Madam Chair, I guess what my question is, can we send a request prior again to moving on this first read? I know it's already on the table, but I think we just need more information, more representation, just more debate in committee.
The issue here is bargaining power. Okay, look at it. We talk about unintended consequences. Look at this paragraph on the thing. The Bridgeport Board of Education has established a schedule of fees that includes a rental fee for the use of space as well as labor costs associated with custodial, security, and cafeteria services. All organizations, agencies, and individuals, except for the following, will be subject to rental fees. Would you bargain with somebody who was already giving you something free? Who would do that? When you go to the grocery store, if they were giving you groceries free, they said, hey, we want to start charging you, and they had to give them to you free, you would not start charging. This is giving us bargaining position just by simply changing those and putting them under the line, and it will get them to us on the table. First read is not binding. It is not concrete. There is time between the first and second read where we can bring these people to the table and have a discussion on what their percentage should be. Or even if they want to negotiate a new flat fee, as they did about 8 to 10 years ago, of $75,000, and has not increased 1 penny since. So we are actually in a position where we cannot bargain because we are actually guaranteeing them to free, so they could keep ignoring us. So this first read will get them to the table, and we could always amend the second read.
Any further questions?
But we haven't tried recently to call the delegation to have a conversation with them, or Lighthouse recently to have a conversation with them.
They were invited to the last governance meeting, I believe. Wait, not the last one, it would be 2 prior.
So that's for the Lighthouse. Lighthouse was
The
invited,
Lighthouse
but the
was invited.
delegation.
Right. I asked for them to come before us and advocate for their program and how much the discount should be. And there was no response.
Last question to Madam Chair. I guess as the chair, have you attempted to reach out to delegation as well to get support for, for community representation at all?
I have not.
All right, thank you.
This normally is through committee, so I have not.
Understood. Thank you.
So if there's no further conversation, okay, Mr. Chaber, go ahead, Mr. Chaber. Sorry, I didn't know if it was about that.
This is historically a decades-long issue. Lighthouse. Expanded. During that time. That's what. And right now, in recent years, there have been no discussions. So And your questions are reasonable. We don't need to make that call.
All right.
We just need to pass the first read and then explore this further. Make sure you're comfortable. The rest of the board are comfortable. Oh, sorry. The rest of the board are comfortable with going that route.
Right. If there is no further discussion on this, there is a motion on the floor. We will vote on the motion now. All right. Is there a, there's no further discussion. All in favor?
Roll call vote.
Okay. Ms. Casimir?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the motion?
The motion is, it was your motion, so.
Motion is to accept the first read, actually as amended.
So, as amended.
As amended.
No.
Mr. Gellan,
No.
Mr. Benahan, Mr. Sokolovic,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
No.
Mr. Traber,
Yes.
Ms. Allen,
No.
Ms. Baptiste
No.
Perez. I abstain. So, oh, sorry, Mr. Benahan.
Yes.
What's the vote?
What do you have, Mr. Benahan? There was 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, no.
4, 5.
It's wrong.
It fell. All right, the next discussion is, the next item is discussion and, first read for policy 9130, construction of agenda to bring in compliance with the state statute. This is also Mr. Sokolovic's item.
Yes, in your packet, you'll see policy 9130 that was previously amended. It still got red ink. But we need to have, the second read has been approved of that one, so ignore the red ink. And we need to add, to be in compliance with state statute, to this policy, all board materials must be posted to the board website. And you see Mr. Dugas right there shaking his head up and down. Maybe he could come to the microphone and discuss why this is needed.
Go ahead,
Please.
Mr. Dugas.
That's precisely it. There's one of the public acts passed in the last legislative session specifically requires this. So I think you have no choice. You must do it. I haven't read the policy, but if the changes are as described, it makes sense and needs to happen.
Thank you, Mr. Dugas. Is there a motion on the floor?
Did I make it?
I don't think you made it.
I'll remake it. Okay. Make a motion to amend policy 9130 to add at the bottom, all board materials shall be placed on the district website.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gellan. Is there any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Wait, I have a question.
You have, okay, question.
Okay, we're voting to accept this as is with the inclusion of all board members board materials shall be placed on the website, right?
Yes.
I have a question regarding, what is this, 1A? We got rid of the language that states the final decision as to whether an item is included on the agenda lies with the chairperson only. So if by changing that language, if three or more of us have an issue and you refuse to put it on the agenda, that's possible, correct?
I don't think that's the item we're
Right,
discussing, though.
that's not on.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
Which one are we
The
discussing?
only thing we're talking about is adding the language that's given by is it the state?
No, I understand the language by the state, but we're just adding that and we're not approving 9130.
Yeah, those were already approved.
Okay.
Yeah, those are already approved. So the only thing we're talking about, so what happened was we put this draft hasn't been black line, it hasn't been made black. So we're just looking at the draft in itself before it becomes black lined.
So this was the version approved on 3.
Yeah, it's already been approved. It just hasn't been edited. I just had Ms. Rita put this, the only document that we had at the time.
Madam Chair, may I offer a point of clarification?
ahead.
Yeah, these bylaws were not posted in the transition, but the second read you're looking at, if you go into the minutes of the very next meeting, it was approved as presented. So you will be able to track that this is the actual policy we approved.
Correct.
That didn't clarify anything.
Oh, sorry.
What?
What's the clarification that you need?
So we voted, we approved this, we never posted it, and we're being presented a red line version that we're just adding something new to it?
Correct.
I mean, I have no issue with what's required by state law. Yeah. I guess we can't pick and choose the process of which laws we're going to follow, but okay.
Thank you.
So if there's, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Here, Ms. Baptiste Perez abstains.
That was just the first, that's accepting the first read. We got to bring it back
Correct.
again next.
All right, and then the next item is discussion and possible action to approve a settlement agreement with Bridgeport Education Association for a new contract for the period of 2024 to 2028. Mr. Dugas, you have the floor. This item may require executive session.
If anything, a non-meeting. Yeah. I'm here to present to you a settlement agreement that was reached with the teachers for the period beginning July 1, 2024 through 30th, 2027. As many of you will recall, we negotiate teacher and administrator contracts 1 year ahead of time. We have statutory deadlines, which we filed in this case. Going into negotiations, what we always do, whether it's here, whether it's Trumbull, doesn't matter. We always look and see how do teacher salaries compare with other districts. And I provided you with some materials. I'm happy to explain them, but suffice it to say that your salaries are very low. They're not competitive. Certainly a primary goal in these negotiations was to try to improve the salaries. Of course, we also have to balance that with the ability to pay those salaries. And fortunately, I had the benefit of working very closely with Marlene Siegel, who I think is available for any questions. And at the end of the day, I mean, the question I kept asking Marlene as we increased as the union presented proposals and we increased ours was, Marlene, do you think the district can afford this? And given her experience, I rely on her judgment tremendously. And so that was the other balance. The other thing is Dr. Levy-David had communicated that she wanted the starting salaries to be in excess of $50,000. So that was another goal that we took to heart in these negotiations. And I think we've managed to balance all of that. I gave you a copy of the settlement. I can briefly describe what it is, but importantly, in the first year, talking just about the wages now, currently steps 1 and 2 have already been eliminated. We are eliminating steps 3, 4, and 5. And that's what allows us to get to the $50,000, over the $50,000 mark. Then what we do is we increase the top step, the highest step on the salary scale for each lane, bachelor's, master's, 6-year, 2.25%. And then all the other steps get just a 1% increase. Now, I know that sounds low, but remember those folks are getting a step movement and the 1%. So that's what's happening the first year. In the second year, again, we're adding 2.25% to the very top step. We're not eliminating any more steps. There's no other general wage increase that goes on the other steps on the scale. So it's just to that top step. But again, everybody's advancing a step. And I should say that one of the other very important goals here was to make sure step advancement happened every year. So those teachers who are on step see themselves moving forward. And that's very important in terms of retaining teachers. The third year, a little bit more money at the top, 2.35%, and then only 0.5% on the rest of the steps. Again, everybody moves a step. And then finally in the fourth year, what we did is we added a new step, 17 at the top. No step, no other money on the wage scale, and then everybody moved a step. Okay, now at the end of the day, in the materials that were provided, we provided you with the total percentage increase to the salary account, as well as the dollar amounts that are there. Again, I would defer to Marlene Siegel, but again, I asked the question repeatedly, Marlene, are you comfortable? Do you think we can do this? And she advised me that we could, particularly in light of increases in ECS funds that are on the horizon. So the other components, just in terms of money, in the last contract, we did not increase any of the stipends. Okay, so this time around, we've agreed to increase them 2% each year. We also spent a lot of time looking at some of the hourly rates that are in the contract, and we've increased a number of those where we thought it was appropriate. Medical insurance. Both medical and dental will increase 0.5% each year. Currently, medical is at 22.5, dental is at 15%, and each of those will go up 0.5% for the year, so teachers can contribute more to the unfortunately rising cost of health insurance. A number of other changes. The only ones that I'll really highlight, I mean, we cleaned up the grievance procedure language in some places a number of days to take certain action were calendar days, and another day it was school days. It just didn't make sense. It was hard to follow, so we cleaned that up. Importantly, we have increased the number of days that a teacher may use for family illness of the sick days they get every year from 5 to 10. Okay. And those are sort of the key. There's a couple issues that we just weren't able to address, and we're going to address those going forward. But that's effectively the deal. I gave you the total percentage increases. And I also gave you so far the contracts that settled this year. Overall, we're about 1% above on a 3-year contract where the trend is right now, but I think that's appropriate. Frankly, I wish there was more money to give to the teachers and to help them out, but I think it's movement in the right direction, particularly in terms of the starting salaries. You know, I wouldn't, dare to speak for the teachers, but my perception is they were satisfied with the agreement we reached. It was a collaborative process, and I'm glad to say we were able to reach it without having to hit each other over the head at binding arbitration. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. I'll open up the floor for any questions for Mr. Dugas. Or did you want to have Ms. Siegel say anything? Ms. Siegel, would you like to add anything before I open up the floor for a discussion?
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Siegel.
I'd just like to add to Mr. Dugas's presentation that we aimed to increase salaries in accordance with the average increases in other districts, and in so doing to create a competitive position for Bridgeport. In terms of affordability, I clearly stated that in each year, when we calculate the monetary need, that need has to be met through a combination of revenue, which includes not only the state ECS, but also the city contribution or city share. It would include any remaining reserves in the internal service fund, any projected savings through various measures, and any other cost-saving measures. in order to create a structurally balanced budget. The additional amounts are in terms of comparability to prior years, such as the current year where there's step movement, would be approximately 1.2, 1.3 million higher. However, there is an offset with the increase in the premium cost share. And the expectation would be that as a comprehensive fiscal plan is constructed, that there would be other offsets within that plan in order to achieve this critical and primary goal of ensuring that teachers are properly compensated and that Bridgeport is in a very strong competitive position with other districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. I'll open up the floor for any discussion. Does anyone have any anyone else like to talk about this? Mr. Benahan?
Just to clarify, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, this is something to give extra money to the staff, like getting more percent.
Yes.
Okay. In that situation, I agree 100% because our staff deserve more money. I know sometimes the staff, they go through a lot of things. Sometimes they come from the pocket to buy stuff for the school and for the students. And yes, I agree 100%. I know we got money for something else. We got money for something else. It's not important to get it. But this situation about the staff, all the Bristol school, I'm agree 100%. They deserve it. 100%. It's not doubtful for me. I just want to be sure clear. Thank you.
Is there any other further, Mr. Traber?
I just wanted to ask the superintendent's opinion, having stated at the convocation what she wanted to achieve.
All right, first of all, I'd like to thank Marlene Siegel and Floyd Dugas for all of the work that went into this process, and also union leadership that were present for negotiations. I wish I could have joined you. But for me, the goal was always to be able to provide our employees with a living wage that aligns with the rise in inflation and that aligns with the high cost of living in the city of Bridgeport. And I want to make sure that for those that do choose to live in the city of Bridgeport, they're earning a wage that will make them want to stay in Bridgeport and invest in our city, invest in our kids, and invest in our institutions. So for me, being able to bring it above the $50,000 threshold was really important. I wasn't exactly sure what that number would look like. I really relied on Marlene to help me to see what that number could look like long term, but I really was excited about the outcome. And although I know that everybody can't be completely satisfied at all times, I am hopeful this is a first step forward in continuing to support our most precious resource, second only to our students, which is our teachers, and ensuring that they're able to feel confident that when they come to Bridgeport, they're going to earn a competitive wage and that we're not going to forget about them when we're at the negotiating table. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank our teachers for sticking it out. We are aware that you are the lowest paid. I'm apt to approve this contract. Definitely, I have no issues with the contract, but I do have some questions about costs for Ms. Siegel. Year over year, cumulative throughout the contract, what's the price tag?
The total percentage growth over 4 years is 17.49%, with an average of 4.37% per year.
And what does that work out to dollars and cents, please?
Oh, well, over 4 years, it's 21.8 million. In the first year, about 5.7 million. The second year, about 5.3. Third year, about 5.8, and in the fourth year, about 4.9. However, as I stated previously, those amounts will be reduced by various offsets. One of those offsets will be the increase in the premium cost share of 0.5% per year, which equates roughly to $200,000 per year. So 5.7 is actually 5.5. And then there may be other offsets. As I have stated regularly, at finance meetings and board meetings, the average teacher salary has been increasing because most of the new teachers hired to fill vacancies are experienced teachers. So they're being hired at higher steps in the salary table than in prior years. Therefore, the amount of turnover savings that we have realized in the last 2 years has not been as substantial as in the previous years. Do we expect some degree of turnover savings? I think it's reasonable to expect turnover savings at some level, but not necessarily at the level of years prior to 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. You actually hit my points. I'm forward thinking into next advocacy stages to advocate to pay for these well-spent dollars.
Thank you. If there's no further questions, Mr. Jelen, go ahead.
I was like a comment. I'm comparing, the numbers here and the Trumbull numbers pretty close. And so I think a great job to this team for a win for our teachers. So thank you.
Ms. Ms. Casimir.
I just want to say thank you so much to the teachers. One thing that I was wondering, Dr. Levy David, is have we, to your knowledge, have we ever asked teachers, what are you buying? What kind of school supplies for your kids are you buying that you take out of your pocket? Because we know that teachers take money out of their own pockets to buy school supplies. And then I guess the second part of that question is, are the grant writers asking places like Staples, Five Below, Office Max for donations of school supplies? I know it may be a trivial question because I know we're talking about a macro perspective here, but just for a second for the micro perspective.
Yeah, currently, thank you for the question. Currently, we provide, I can't remember the dollar amount. I would have to rely on Marlene to remind me for brand new teachers to support them in purchasing supplies. We do not do it for any other teacher other than the brand new teachers. But I do know that oftentimes teachers purchase just about everything for their students, including writing utensils, paper, notebooks, you name it. A student needs a water bottle, teacher will purchase it. When we see a need, it is in our nature, in our moral code to fill it. And that's what teachers do. So I don't think there is a limitation. We purchase clothing, uniforms for students. And I say we because I've done that. And oftentimes we don't advertise what we're doing, or we just do it. The second question regarding, remind me of your second question.
Grants, are we writing grants or asking at places like Staples, Five Below, Office Max?
Yes. I don't know that we're asking for grants specifically from those organizations, but we have posted a position for an additional grant writer, specifically to seek out additional grant funding for our schools, for our programs, and for a variety of other needs that we have.
Is it against the policy if I wanted to help the grant writer out?
That would be a question for Mr. Dugas.
Not too involved, Mr. Dugas, just saying, have you thought of this place? Have you thought of that place? And then them taking the lead on the ask. That's all.
You got some extra time tonight? Is that what you're thinking? No, I'm sure we could figure out a way to make that happen.
I just feel like I would be very useful in that area. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
May I please interject?
Yes, Miss. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that the district has a teacher's choice e-card program. It is specified in the contract. And we introduced the e-card several years ago. Under ESSER, we increased the dollar amount from $30 per teacher to $150 per teacher. Now, it applies to classroom teachers only, and the teacher must be on the first October payroll, which is this Friday. And the payroll closed today. So I will be looking at a payroll report probably tomorrow in order to identify the eligible teachers. And those teachers will receive an e-card notification from school specialty. And they will be able to spend $150 at school specialty. In addition, each school, under the direction of the principal, receives a school operating budget every year. And this year, the amount is $25 per student. In prior years, it was reduced to $20. During the ESSER years, it has been maintained at $25 per child. And that is in addition to all of the materials and curriculum resources provided by the district to the schools. Our goal for next year is to maintain $25 per child, subject to finalization of the comprehensive fiscal plan with the superintendent. So that would be a goal. We also deliver cartons of paper 5 times a year to schools. Those deliveries are not intended to be the entire supply of paper, but it is intended to assist the school in building an inventory of cartons, and then they are supposed to supplement the supply as needed with their allocations. Now, I'm not implying in any way that $25 per child is sufficient. Clearly, we'd like to be able to provide a higher number. But it is important to understand that the district is supplying the district-wide resources, on a district-wide level, the resources for all the curriculum programs that are approved by the district, and supplying a school operating allocation to schools. And we're also supplying the teachers with an e-card or purchase of supplies of their choice through a contracted vendor school specialty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. Is Mr. Bennett?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Siegel, I have a question. The $150 you say the teacher have to spend it, they have to spend it any place, or they have to spend exactly, let's see, give a sample, we got Staple, we got W.B. Manson, or they can spend it, let's see,
Yeah,
or they can spend it another place.
Sorry, it's a school specialty e-card. It has to be spent at school specialty. We selected school specialty several years ago because they were under contract through the state for various types of school supplies. They have multiple catalogs.
Okay.
And we did work with the city at that time to secure approval to issue e-cards. So they must utilize school specialty for this purpose.
Okay, I'm asking because I know something in this book, they order stuff, one thing that can cost $75, another thing costs $50, and then the money's gone. That's why I'm asking, because, I got experience ordering the books when you can buy something, let's see, sample Walmart a little more cheap, you can buy it in that book, in 1 second, the money's gone. So, no, I understand what you said. I just want to ask you that we can spend the money another place, but
Well,
I understand.
I would like to also share that last year, a very high percentage of teachers did not use the e-card.
Yeah, I understand. But I know they're going to use it this year. But I will prefer we have more money for our staff. They deserve it. They work very hard in the district. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, is there a motion on, will someone like to make a motion? Oh, you have a
One more comment. I'm just hearing what Mr. Benahan said. Kind of irked me. I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't be renegotiated now, but is it possible to make it a stipend for the teacher to spend? I trust our teachers to spend $150 wisely.
That is not allowable under the law, under IRS law.
Okay, thank you.
It would also be taxable to the teachers.
Would someone like to make a motion? Ms. Baptiste Perez?
Uh, just a comment for the board, since we love talking about systems and procedures. I think one of the things we need to take into consideration is teachers' access to supplies. It shouldn't have to be that I am in this X building and I have to wait for the secretary once a month to give me my REMA paper. But if I'm a teacher in Y building, they have what feels like an abundance of resources where they can get the REMA paper that they want. I think we need to think uniformity, so that way all of our teachers are not only equal, but also have equal access to the resources that they need for their classroom, and that starts district up. But I wanted to bring that up, is that there may not be uniformity as to access to the supplies, and not sure if that's board action or leadership action, but I think that's something that expressed, and I think that if there's anything as far as the board can do or leadership, just to ensure that there is district-wide uniformity so our teachers are getting the supplies that they need. I think I may have mentioned that to you, but if not, that way it's just on the record too, so everyone has access to what they need, and there's no feeling that because I'm in this building, I'm being treated or have less access than someone else in another building.
If I may, we also rewrote the provision of the contract with the approval of the union that pertains to the provision of supplies to teachers. So it very clearly states that a teacher who believes that he or she should have supplies beyond those already provided in the school may submit that request to the principal for consideration. And if the need is unmet, the teacher may contact the executive director overseeing that school. And then the executive director is expected to review that request, discuss it with the principal, and possibly have further discussions at the district level as well. So that there is a codified process revised in the new contract.
Thank you. Before I go back to you, Ms. Perez, Ms. Baptiste Perez, Mr. Traber had his hand up.
Going back initially to what Ms. Casimir said, all of this notwithstanding, teachers still will spend an enormous amount of money out of pocket, as the superintendent said, on supplies for their children, for their students. And that is the nature of the business that we work in, and the districts that we work in. So I do want to say that it's interesting to me. I think that's an important point that Ms. Baptiste Perez raises. And it would have been an interesting thing to discuss during the negotiations, sort of how that proceeds. I was curious why we hadn't had any discussions during negotiations about some of the issues that were coming up. This is obviously our first discussion about negotiation. But my understanding historically is that that exists because there was a degree of autonomy built into the funding system in the school district that allowed each school to determine how it was going to spend its per pupil allocation of money. That $25 per pupil allocation of money, or $20, as Ms. Siegel pointed out, it's been as low as 20. We're up to 25 again. But there was a degree of autonomy given to the schools, i.e. the administrators, to determine how they wanted to spend it. So I remember hearing different stories about different principals deciding they wanted to spend it one way or another. So it would be a worthwhile discussion to have at some point as to how that gets determined and who decides that.
Ms. Baptiste Perez. Oh, it's okay. Would someone like to make the motion? Mr. Sokolik?
Yes. Motion to approve the settlement agreement with the Bridgeport Education Association for a new contract for the period of 24-28 as presented.
Second.
Second by Mr. Benihan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mr. Bennahan, second by Ms. Casimir. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Everyone have a good night. Thank you.